Chapter 765. Imperial concubine Zhou had always wanted to reach the ultimate realm. During the Great Ming Dynasty, she was unable to achieve it. In the end, she was sealed by her master. But in this life, she could do it. God must be looking out for her, sending Li Fan to her. That's right, she was the one chosen by the heavens. No one could stop her from becoming the queen. She began to exert more strength in her hands, turning her true qi into a ventilator and began to extract the true qi from Li Fan's body. But Li Fan's star Luo Shengong was also a profound martial art. Unexpectedly, he was able to forcibly resist Imperial concubine Zhou's attack. Right now, it was like two giants were tearing each other's bodies apart, neither willing to let go. Imperial concubine Zhou was somewhat angry. Who was she? Her martial arts had actually been blocked by Li Fan. She was not convinced, so she increased the strength of her true qi. Even if this would take away Li Fan's life force, she did not hesitate. Unfortunately, this interesting guy, Li Fan, was going to die like this. But at this time, the true qi in Li Fan's body seemed to have taken drugs. In an instant, it began to erupt. Suddenly, it began to absorb the true qi from Imperial concubine Zhou's body. Imperial concubine Zhou was shocked. In terms of qi, she was obviously stronger than Li Fan. Why was she weaker at this moment? Just when Imperial concubine Zhou was about to figure it out, Luo Shuowu suddenly came to the deck and happened to see the scene of Imperial concubine Zhou absorbing Li Fan's Jin qi. You are... Before Luo Shuowu could finish speaking, a figure suddenly flew out from Imperial concubine Zhou's body. This figure was exactly the same as Imperial concubine Zhou. Imperial concubine Zhou had used her Jin qi to create a clone. The doppelganger instantly hit Luo Shuowu. Luo Shuowu let out a muffled groan. Before she could react, she was knocked out and hit the iron plate behind her. Imperial concubine Zhou's expression turned somewhat sinister. She didn't understand why her Jin qi couldn't defeat Li Fan. This was the Vairocana Heart Sutra that he had painstakingly researched. Why did he lose to Li Fan's kung fu? At this time, Li Fan was still unconscious, but his star Luo Shengong had automatically defeated Imperial concubine Zhou. Imperial concubine Zhou had no choice but to forcefully break the connection between the two of them. Li Fan's star Luo divine exercise also automatically dispersed. Imperial concubine Zhou leaned against the railing. Her forehead was full of cold sweat. Terrifying, it was truly terrifying. After cultivating for so many years and being sealed for so many years, this was the first time she felt fear. Even if it was a minute before she was sealed, Imperial concubine Zhou still had an indifferent attitude. Because she knew that she was the undying evil Buddha. One day, she would leave the grave and return to this world to exact her revenge. Then, she would become a high and mighty queen. Strange, Imperial concubine Zhou looked at Li Fan. She wanted to know what kind of martial arts Li Fan practiced. However, Li Fan seemed to be particularly stubborn. If he fought to the death with him, he might not get the answer he wanted. If she couldn't absorb his true qi, this pure yang body expert would be of no use to her. In order to reach the highest realm of martial arts and become a king-level expert who truly surpassed a generation's grandmaster, Imperial concubine Zhou decided to try to win over Li Fan's favor. Only by letting him put down all his defenses, would she be able to smoothly absorb his pure yang body. Thinking of this, Imperial concubine Zhou waved her hand and used her true qi to wake up Li Fan. Li Fan rubbed his forehead and sat there. Then, he saw Imperial concubine Zhou standing in front of him. Mr. Yang, who was standing next to Imperial concubine Zhou, also smiled at him. Make good use of this woman. She can help you. Don't be angry. Imperial concubine Zhou looked at Li Fan and said, "This Imperial has no intention of harming you. However, seeing that your body is disabled, this Imperial concubine took pity on you. I don't need your sympathy." Li Fan roared, but Imperial concubine Zhou's hand had already pressed on his shoulder. "Even if you don't want it, this Imperial concubine will help you." Imperial concubine Zhou's true qi instantly poured into Li Fan's body. Li Fan's right sleeve suddenly shook. He felt a kind of pain. It seemed to be the legendary phantom pain. What did Imperial concubine Zhou do to me? Li Fan looked at his right hand. It had regrown. Your right hand was remolded by me using my true qi. Imperial concubine Zhou looked at Li Fan and said with a smile, "This is the kung fu that you despise the most. How do you feel?" Li Fan looked at his right hand. It was as if he had been reborn and was full of strength. From the outside, this hand was no different from an ordinary person's hand. Even the meridians inside had been completely remolded. In order to create her own body, Imperial concubine Zhou had spent an unknown amount of time studying the human body. She had a very thorough understanding of the human body structure. Li Fan looked at his right hand. He felt that his current hand was more useful than before. However, it was constantly absorbing the true qi in his body. Because this arm is remolded by true qi, it will constantly absorb your true qi as energy. Imperial concubine Zhou reminded Li Fan, "You must not let your true qi be consumed. Otherwise, this imperial concubine will have to make another arm for you, which is very troublesome." After Imperial concubine Zhou finished speaking, she gently jumped and landed on the railing behind her under the moonlight. "Li Fan, how far can you go? This imperial concubine is very curious." "Demonis, why are you helping me?" Li Fan did not believe that Imperial concubine Zhou was so kind-hearted. She wanted to help him. Impossible. If this woman was so kind-hearted, she would not have been sealed under the water. This imperial concubine is just doing a good deed. This imperial concubine has always been kind. There is nothing to doubt. You. Kind-hearted. Li Fan wanted to laugh. "I think you should wake up. Look at your right hand. You owe me a favor." Imperial concubine Zhou pointed at Li Fan's right arm and leisurely said, "Ah." Li Fan stood up, stretched out his hand, and directly cut off his arm. Imperial concubine Zhou was shocked. This was the true qi arm that she made for Li Fan. How could he just cut it off like this? This guy, is he crazy? He would rather be a disabled person. This favor, I'd rather not have it. Li Fan endured the pain in his arm and said to Imperial concubine Zhou, "Since you've come, then leave your life here." With that, his left hand emitted white smoke. The qilin palm had begun to brew. Even if she was standing on the railing, 10 meters away from Li Fan, Imperial concubine Zhou still felt nervous. What kind of palm technique is this? This kid only has one arm, but he can still study this kind of terrifying technique. The last time she saw him under the water, he did not have this kind of palm technique. Worthy of being a pure young body. Indeed an interesting guy. Imperial concubine Zhou looked at Li Fan and could not help but lick her lips. In the end, how many more surprises can he give me? Then let's call it a night. The future is long. We'll meet again next time. After leaving these words, Imperial concubine Zhou's figure disappeared from the surface of the lake. Li Fan blinked his eyes. Damn, this woman actually ran away. Chapter 766. When Luo Xuewu woke up, she found herself lying on Li Fan's bed. She only vaguely remembered that she seemed to have been knocked unconscious by a woman. Li Fan. Luo Xuewu sat up from Li Fan's bed. At this time, Li Fan was sitting next to her with his eyes closed, as if he didn't care about anything. "You're awake." Li Fan was sitting on the side, his clothes neat and tidy. Luo Xuewu glanced at him with a trace of surprise in her eyes. "Your right hand." Li Fan's right hand was growing there. Wasn't his right arm broken? "It's a long story." Li Fan smiled. Previously, he had cut off Imperial Concubine Zhou's arm, but when Imperial Concubine Zhou reconnected his arm with her true qi, he was impulsive and cut off the arm that had been reconnected. However, when Imperial Concubine Zhou reconnected Li Fan's arm, Li Fan felt that there was something special about it. Although he didn't turn illusions into reality, Li Fan could exquisitely control his true qi, and at the same time, he had the power of abnormal bone changing. Li Fan discovered that after activating his aberration bone changing technique with his true qi, he could actually recreate his own body. The true qi left by Imperial Concubine Zhou seemed to be active, as if there was an invisible template there. According to the template left, Li Fan activated his abnormal bone changing and regenerated his right arm while Luo Xuewu was sleeping. This regenerated right arm was a little weak. After all, it wasn't like other parts of the body that had undergone training. If he wanted to restore his right arm, he still needed to train it more. Abnormal bone changing. It's indeed a powerful martial art. Luo Xuewu looked at Li Fan with some envy. This kind of ability couldn't be cultivated. It was innate. Other than envy, there was no other way. If only she had such an ability. Yi Jian would definitely become stronger under her leadership. But it didn't matter now. Li Fan was by her side. With him around, the world could be conquered. Especially Li Fan, who had recovered his right arm. "It's good that you've recovered, but who was that woman last night?" Luo Xuewu remembered that she had fainted. This woman had a famous name in the Great Ming Dynasty. Li Fan said, "I don't know if you have heard of the Undying Evil Buddha." "Wait." Luo Xuewu's expression also changed. "You mean, that Undying Evil Buddha?" "Yes, that's her. She was resurrected." "Oh, have you heard of her?" "When I was at Murong's house, I heard about her. I just didn't expect her to really exist. Yes, this woman is very powerful. She's almost immortal. My arm being able to recover is probably thanks to her help." "You and her have a good relationship. How is that possible?" "We are mortal enemies." Li Fan said without hesitation. "I have to seize the time to practice and improve my strength to that of a grandmaster. Otherwise, I will die in the hands of Imperial Concubine Zhou." With that, Li Fan glanced at Luo Xuewu. "If you let me join Yijin, it means that I will have to face endless experts. Not only the Jianghu forces, but also many enemies in society. Are you willing?" "You underestimate my Yi sword too much," Luo Xuewu said without hesitation. "Even if I have to exhaust the last soldier of Yijin, I will protect you." "Why are you helping me?" Li Fan couldn't help but ask, "Am I that important to Yijin?" "Yijin is so important to everyone. We can sacrifice our lives for each other," Luo Xuewu told Li Fan. "This is Yijin's principle and promise. I have phenomenal escort agency. It's impossible for me to join other alliances." Li Fan felt that he shouldn't let Luo Xuewu have any expectations of him. "It doesn't matter." Luo Xuewu waved her hand. "Look at Zhang Qinli. He has his own business to take care of. You just need to hang the name of Yijin. We don't have any other requirements. Am I really that important to you?" Li Fan was still very surprised. He wasn't the strongest expert. Why did Yijin want to take him in? "It's your potential." Luo Xuewu looked at Li Fan. "And your choice?" "Choice?" "Yes." Luo Shuawu pointed at Li Fan's right hand. Didn't you make your choice during Murongbo's birthday? You chose Yijin and not Murongbo. I just hate Murongbo. Li Fan curled his lips. That old man looks like a dog on the surface, but he does shameful things behind the scenes. That's right. When Luo Shuawu mentioned Murongbo, a trace of hatred flashed in her eyes. He killed my Yijin disciple. I must take revenge for this. After she finished speaking, she looked at Li Fan. Moreover, we've already slept together. You must marry me. What the hell? Li Fan hurriedly said. That's not right. I only let you sleep in my room for one night. It was too late yesterday and I didn't know where your room was. So, I could only send you here for one night. That's right, but will others believe this excuse? Luo Shuawu looked at Li Fan. My innocence has already been ruined by your hands. Do you not want to take responsibility? Alliance Master Luo. In that situation yesterday, if I didn't sleep in the same room as you, what else could I do? Moreover, after I put you on the bed, Li Fan, didn't do anything to you. You can put me here and sleep in the training room. Luo Shuawu blinked her eyes. There's a bed there, right? Li Fan wanted to slap himself. Damn it, how could he forget about this? This is really fucked up. Is this Luo Shuawu going to blame me? Alliance Master Luo, I agree to join your sword alliance. But about this marriage. Can we not talk about it? Do you mean that I'm not worthy of you? Luo Shuawu raised her head and looked at Li Fan unhappily. That's not it. Alliance Master Luo is also as beautiful as a flower and is comparable to a fairy. I think that in this pugilistic world, there shouldn't be a man who would refuse your invitation. Then why did you refuse? Luo Shuawu looked at Li Fan and asked. I just want to cultivate my martial arts. Li Fan actually didn't understand. It seemed that in his heart, the only person who could make him have an impulse was that girl, Liao Wuxuang. As for the others, Muronging and Luo Shuawu, they were all top-grade beauties. But for some reason, they just couldn't touch his heartstrings. To ask him to stay with them for the rest of his life, Li Fan really couldn't do it. Marrying me won't affect your cultivation. Moreover, the sword reliance is a very good place to cultivate. You can cultivate well without anyone disturbing you. But I've only known you for a short time. I really don't have any feelings for you. Li Fan refused again. If you want to get married, you must have feelings for me, right? Chapter 767. There's no need. Luo Shuawu said, many people get married first and then fall in love. It's normal. That's the old society you're talking about. Li Fan immediately attacked Luo Shuawu. Leader Luo, what era are we living in? You need to change your feudal thinking. Really? Luo Shuawu countered Li Fan. In the modern society, there are many men and women who have feelings and marry freely. Are there any divorcees among these people? Li Fan was instantly speechless. Luo Shuawu seemed to be a man of few words, but her words were full of sarcasm, making people unable to accept it. When we get to Yijin, let's get married. Luo Shuawu continued, if you're willing, I can give you the position of leader of Yijin. You can be the leader, and I will wholeheartedly assist you. Mr. Yang stood behind Luo Shuawu, touched her cheek with one hand, and said to Li Fan with a smile, come on, conquer this woman, control her under your body, and become the real supreme master of Wulin. His inner demon was getting more and more serious, but Li Fan was somewhat used to it, so he just ignored him. But Mr. Yang's hand even reached into Luo Shuawu's chest and rubbed it wantonly. However, all of this existed in Li Fan's eyes, and Luo Shuawu did not see it, nor would she feel it. Come, ravage her like I did, and she will surrender to your arms. Mr. Yang licked his lips and said to Li Fan. Li Fan continued to ignore Mr. Yang, whose existence was like a demon in his heart. What do you think? Luo Shuiwu seemed to be asking for Li Fan's opinion, but Li Fan always felt that she seemed to have thought of everything. Your proposal is very tempting. Li Fan said frankly, if it was an ordinary person, he would definitely be tempted. But I'm a person who likes to run my own business. It's my business, and I'll fight for it myself. Previously, when I lost my right hand, I was a bit disheartened, which was my fault. But now my right hand is back, and I will be stronger than before. Li Fan confidently said, I will use my hands to create a new world. Have you ever thought that if you become the leader of the Sword Reliance Alliance, you can even subdue the other 3 alliances and rebuild the World Alliance? I'm not interested in your conditions at all. Li Fan laughed. The World Alliance belongs to Lu Jinchan. Why should I take over his mess? That's true. Luo Shuiwu felt that Li Fan was very ambitious, and she admired such a man. I'll join Sword Reliance. After all, it doesn't matter if it's Night Rain Tower's conspiracy or not. It can be said that we're fated. Li Fan said, from now on, I will live and die with you, and share prosperity with you. That's good to hear. Luo Shuiwu nodded. Have you considered the marriage? Oh, how should I put it? Other than being a martial artist, I'm still a third-year high school student. Li Fan reminded Luo Shuiwu, don't mention marriage within a year. I still want to go to university. This, Luo Shuiwu felt awkward. She had forgotten about this matter. Now that things are so bad with Murong's family, do you still want to go back to school? She suggested. You should focus on cultivating now. It's all important. Li Fan didn't forget his identity. No matter when, I must persevere and finish my studies. I'm really looking forward to my university life. I really don't understand. Luo Shuiwu looked strangely at Li Fan. You're obviously an expert, but why do you want to live the life of an ordinary person? What's the life of an expert? The reason why Li Fan wanted to be the strongest was because he didn't like to be bullied. In short, I won't think about marriage now. Alright, Alliance Leader Luo, you've rested enough. Hurry back to your room. Luo Shuiwu was slightly resentful. She bit her lips lightly. If Night Rain Tower and the others saw this, their jaws would probably drop. They're Yi Jian's Alliance Leader Luo. She actually revealed the expression of a little girl. It was really unbelievable. Alliance Leader Luo, please. Li Fan also wanted to train his right Qilin arm, so he once again issued an eviction order. Humph. Luo Shuiwu was very dissatisfied. She turned and left Li Fan's room. Li Fan finally got some peace and quiet. He sat on the chair in his room while Mr. Yang sat on the bed opposite him. You let her go just like that? Mr. Yang asked Li Fan. You clearly had the chance to ravage her. My inner demon is quite perverted. Li Fan snorted. Don't bother me anymore. Hurry up and disappear. I can't disappear. Mr. Yang shrugged his shoulders. You always don't want to admit that I'm actually a part of you. Moreover, I'm the truest part of you. Mr. Yang looked at Li Fan and continued, why do you have to live so tirelessly? Why don't you just relax a little? He could kill whoever he wanted and fuck whoever he wanted. Why do you have to suffer for those women? You should ride on top of them and control them. Mr. Yang's words made Li Fan a little tempted. It was impossible to say that a man had no desire for women. There was probably no man who didn't want to live a life of being the emperor's harem of 3,000. He could do whoever he wanted and make whoever he wanted to serve him in bed. There was no man who didn't want to live such a life. Li Fan was also an ordinary man. He also had some desires that men had. But he was different. He was a person who knew what he should want and what he shouldn't want. He simply closed his eyes and didn't look at Mr. Yang. As long as you want it, the world will be yours. At that time, all the women in the world will also be yours. It seems that I should learn Buddhist Kung Fu. Li Fan sighed. It seemed that he should look for Subhuti to learn the invincible golden body. But it seemed that only Subhuti could practice this Kung Fu. He might not be able to practice it. But it was also good to learn some cleansing heart sutra. If you don't care about inner demons, I'm afraid it will become more and more arrogant in the future. Li Fan had already closed his eyes and began to silently chant the Heart Sutra. This Heart Sutra of the Buddhist sect was very useful. After Li Fan chanted it more than 10 times, Mr. Yang's nagging in his ear slowly became softer. When Li Fan opened his eyes again, Mr. Yang was still sitting in front of him, dozing off on the bed. Sorry, I fell asleep. Mr. Yang rubbed his eyes. It's boring to have a man accompany you to sleep every day. Find a woman to sleep with you, especially a woman with high martial arts. You have a pure young body. The power obtained from kissing is far from enough. Through dual cultivation, you can quickly become the world's supreme master. Chapter 768. It seemed like relying on the Heart Sutra would not be able to avoid this inner demon. Li Fan decided to do something else and temporarily forget about him. He picked up the stone hammer in the corner of the room and began to exercise his right arm. His right arm had just regrown, and the muscles on it were not very developed yet. He had to train it well. Li Fan spent another 2 days on the ship, and the group gradually approached the headquarters of Sword Reliance. Because they were hiding in the Kunlun mountain range, the ship could only dock at a nearby port first, and then the group of people could take a car there. In comparison, Yi Jian seemed to be living in a paradise. However, this peach orchard was a little cold. Tomorrow morning, they would be able to approach the port. This is the last night Li Fan and the others will spend on the ship. Zhang Qianli purposely prepared a large banquet on the ship, as if he wanted to send them off respectfully. He was Yi-Sword's external help and was in charge of managing Yi-Sword's business, so he spent most of his time outside. However, Zhang Qianli seemed to like this job very much. Everyone, tonight will be our last night. Everyone, don't stand on ceremony with me, let's party to our heart's content. At the banquet, Zhang Qianli held a large jar of new hong and went from table to table toasting. When it came to Li Fan's table, he sighed. Hey, brother Li. Originally, I had kept a bottle of top-notch Mao Tai and was planning to get drunk with you today. In the end, some greedy person stole it. I couldn't find it no matter how hard I searched. Li Fan smiled awkwardly. Aha. It's okay, daughter Hong is not bad either, but what? There were still a lot of new Hong sealed in mud on the boat. Today, Zhang Qianli took them out to entertain them. It was obvious that Zhang Qianli was quite generous. In terms of wine, they weren't as stingy as Night Rain Tower claimed. Li Fan felt guilty. He was about to say something when he saw Night Rain waving at him with his back to Zhang Qianli. When you come to H City next time, I'll make some good wine to treat you. Sure, I'll definitely look for you when I go to H City in the future. Yes, it's a deal. Li Fan chatted with Zhang Qianli for a while, then Zhang Qianli turned around and left, muttering something. Looks like he didn't drink it. If I find out who did it, I'll definitely kill him. Li Fan's forehead was full of cold sweat. Night Rain Tower was really smart. This guy was really a drinker. These people exchanged toasts, and the 4 heavenly kings all came over to toast Li Fan. Guomingming was simply a wine jar. He held a jar of new Hong in one hand and followed behind Zhang Xiaotian and the rest. Brotherly, congratulations on regaining your right arm. Zhang Xiaotian was now filled with admiration towards Li Fan. To be able to cultivate to this level, you're simply too awesome. It could even repair a broken hand. What a gecko! Li Fan said, are you praising me or insulting me? Seriously, can you teach me? If I lose an arm or a leg in the future, I can repair it. Don't talk nonsense, this is the aberration bone changing technique, you won't be able to learn it. Jin Jiumao glared at Zhang Xiaotian. This brother chuckled and rubbed the back of his head. Come. Let's not talk anymore. Let's drink. Zhang Xiaotian held a bowl of new Hong and toasted Li Fan. From today onwards, we're all brothers. If there's anything, please take care of me. Don't mention it, we're all brothers from now on. Li Fan also raised his bowl and clinked it with Zhang Xiaotian's. This new Hong was mellow and tasty. Li Fan drank a large bowl, but his head was still slightly sober. He did not show any signs of being drunk. After such a long time, Li Fan felt that he could still drink a lot more. Come, drink. Guo Mingming directly stepped forward, raised 2 large wine jars, and started pouring them into his mouth. Li Fan was dumbfounded. Damn, is this drinking? This is drinking like a waterfall. Guo Mingming. This is too ferocious. This Guo Mingming was indeed a great drinker. After drinking 2 large jars of wine, he wiped his mouth and burped. Come, drink. Although Guo Mingming's mind was a little muddled, he kept pulling Li Fan to drink. He probably learned it from his companions. Li Fan had no choice but to pick up a big bowl. However, Guo Mingming waved his hand repeatedly. No, I drink more, you drink less. But there are no more wine jars. Li Fan said. Yes. As Guo Mingming spoke, he actually pulled open his crotch and took out a wine jar. Fuck me. How did you put it in? Li Fan was on the verge of collapsing. Although this wine jar was only the size of an adult's palm, it was hidden in his crotch. No matter how he thought about it, it was impossible. Could it be that this brother's crotch was Doraemon's dimensional bag? Guo Mingming took out a piece of bread and a chicken leg from inside. He looked at Li Fan and ate with relish. However, the surrounding people were used to it and continued to eat by themselves. Li Fan lost his appetite to drink, but Guo Mingming was just a fool. He had a good heart. Li Fan had to drink a toast to his brother. I will risk my life to accompany a gentleman. Li Fan reached out his trembling hand to pick up the wine jar on the side of the table. At this moment, Luo Shuowu walked over and handed a new wine jar to Li Fan. Drink this, Li Fan. Leader. The surrounding people all saluted Luo Shuowu. Luo Shuowu raised her cup to them one after another. Thank you. Li Fan took the normal wine jar and heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't expect Luo Shuowu to be so kind and come to his rescue at the critical moment. After Li Fan finished the wine in the wine jar, Guo Mingming turned around and left. You drank quite a lot, so I won't be respectful to you. Jin Jiuma was virtuous at this moment. He handed over a cup of hot tea. Drink some hot tea to get rid of the alcohol. Thank you so much. This girl is quite nice. After all, we were classmates for a period of time. I didn't spend time with her for nothing. Li Fan silently thanked Jin Jiuma. Night Rain also came forward with a cup of hot tea. Since Mao Mao said not to let you drink, I can't force you. Jin Jiuma clicked his tongue and walked to the side. That's why women are especially troublesome. Night Rain squinted at Li Fan, who was gloating. You should have a deep understanding of this. Mr. Yang stood beside Night Rain and pointed at Jean Jiumo, who was drinking alone. Remember the jade mantis in your goo of 7 emotions and 6 desires. It is very suitable for this woman. Li Fan quickly pinched his thumb and forefinger. What am I thinking? How can I have such a thought? This Mr. Yang really reflects the deepest thoughts in my heart. Chapter 769. Li Fan scolded himself in his heart. Why do I always like to let my imagination run wild now? However, Jean Jiumo's strongest move was the mantis fist. The jade mantis was indeed the most suitable for her. Damn, why am I thinking like this again? Jean Jiumo is the woman that Night Rain Tower likes. How can I snatch her away? However, thinking about it, my favorite Liao Wushuang seems to be the woman that Bai Lin Luo likes as well. What's going on? Why do I like to snatch others so much? That's because you are like me deep down. Mr. Yang sat beside Jean Jiumo and put his hand on Jean Jiumo's chest again. This man is getting more and more outrageous. Li Fan retracted his gaze and met Night Rain Tower's eyes. Brotherly. Are you interested in Jean Jiumo? Night Rain Tower suddenly asked. Ah. No. Li Fan quickly denied it. How did Night Rain Tower know? Night Rain Tower didn't say much, but when Li Fan looked at Jean Jiumo just now, there was a trace of lust in his eyes. I hope that I'm just seeing things. They all tested Li Fan's character, and there was no problem. He was indeed an upright person. This kind of integrity in his bones couldn't be faked. Li Fan suddenly licked his lips and felt his lust rise a little. What's going on? At this moment, Luo Shuawu suddenly walked over and grabbed Li Fan's arm. He might be a little drunk. I'll bring him to rest. Yes, Chief. Night Rain Tower cupped his hands and understood a little. Luo Shuawu pulled Li Fan and sent him back to her room. Along the way, Li Fan felt as if he couldn't control his body. He just wanted to climb onto Luo Shuawu's body subconsciously, push her down to the ground, tear off her clothes, and enter her body. Li Fan was trying his best to restrain his desire. What the hell was going on? Although Li Fan was not light, Luo Shuawu was also a martial artist. She easily carried him into the room and put him on the bed. Li Fan. Luo Shuawu didn't leave. Instead, she sat beside Li Fan and reached out a hand to touch Li Fan's cheek. I'm sorry, I had to resort to this. But you're the man I've chosen. No matter what, I'm going to have you. Alliance Master Luo. Li Fan looked at Luo Shuawu and frowned deeply. Looking at his current appearance, he was definitely drugged. No matter what, you're still the Alliance Master. How could you use such a method, humph? Luo Shuawu raised her eyebrows and said, I will fight for whatever Muronging likes. I see. As Li Fan had thought, Luo Shuawu had only known him for a short time, so how could she suddenly fall in love with him? Reality wasn't a novel. Where did the protagonist's halo come from? She wanted to marry him just to win against Muronging once. If you want to win against her, can't you just defeat her? Why do you have to use such a method? Whether it's martial arts or love, I want to win against her. Luo Shuawu said without hesitation, Li Fan, remember, you're my man from now on. With that, she lay down beside Li Fan. Li Fan resisted the desire in his body. Looking at Luo Shuawu lying beside him and smelling the fragrance on her body, he couldn't help but ask. You've, sleep with me just like this? Yeah, sleep with you just like this. Luo Shuawu nodded and looked firm. Sleep until tomorrow morning, and we can have a baby. At that time, what's done can't be undone. You can't deny it even if you want to. Li Fan said, why are these 2 top-grade Jianghu women so innocent? Fuck. It doesn't mean, sleeping together, can make you pregnant, you're lying. Luo Xuewu didn't believe Li Fan's explanation. When we were at Murong's house, Murong Ying's nanny and I said the same thing. Boys and girls can't sleep together. If they sleep together, they will have a baby. Li Fan was completely convinced. No wonder. Oh right. I seem to have forgotten one step. Luo Xuewu turned her head and looked at Li Fan, blinking her beautiful big eyes. Li Fan looked at her eyes as if he was looking at the stars in the sky. They were very beautiful. We have to kiss each other. Luo Xuewu was very domineering. In this aspect, she was much better than Muronging. Muronging was domineering at other times, but when it came to sex, she was extremely shy. She turned over and actually rode on Li Fan's body. Then, she pressed her mouth on Li Fan's. Although she was domineering, her movements were a lot jerky. Obviously, she hadn't studied much in this aspect. Luo Xuewu's lips were very soft. She pressed on Li Fan's lips. In her heart, it seemed that she could get pregnant like this. What a simple woman. After Li Fan mocked her, the feeling came. The desire in his body rose to the extreme and was pushing his body, as if something was controlling his body. A great beauty was so active. As a man, how could he not feel it? What's more, his body had been drugged by Luo Xuewu. Desire was like a flame, burning Li Fan's body. Li Fan couldn't restrain himself. He suddenly stretched out his hands and directly tore Luo Xuewu's clothes. Luo Xuewu was a little surprised, but she restrained herself. It seemed that giving birth to a child required her to take off her clothes. In the end, this man couldn't escape from the palm of her hand. Humph. Luo Xuewu's clothes were torn by Li Fan, but she wasn't shy at all. Anyway, people were born naked. Moreover, this was her future husband. What was there to be shy about? However, Li Fan's next action made Luo Xuewu a little flustered. Li Fan stretched out his hands and held Luo Xuewu's breasts. The shape of Alliance Master Luo's breasts was very perfect. Although they weren't very big, they could be held with one hand. Li Fan wanted this ice beauty to be as hot as fire in bed. Li Fan turned over and pressed Luo Xuewu under his body. Anyway, he had already been drugged. What was there to be afraid of? He could just enjoy it. Li Fan's eyes were full of evil. He looked at the beauty under him and even had an impulse to tear her apart. Being pressed under Li Fan, Luo Xuewu didn't seem very happy. No, I want to be on top. Luo Xuewu turned over again and rode on Li Fan's body. She looked at Li Fan under her and suddenly asked. Have you done this with Muronging? No. Li Fan wasn't in the mood to chat. He just wanted to vent the fire in his body. That's good. Luo Xuewu became happy. Li Fan pulled off Luo Xuewu's pants and was ready to fight. This was a battle to declare sovereignty. He couldn't lose. Chapter 770. Li Fan was about to raise his spear, but as soon as he touched the door, a violent chill immediately came from under Luo Xuewu and poured into Li Fan's body, freezing him like a zombie. Li Fan shivered, and his body was still emitting cold air. Li Fan's lust was all frozen and shrank back. Fuck, Li Fan's body kept shivering. What the hell are you? Luo Xuewu looked at Li Fan in surprise. What's wrong with you? You're so cold down there. Well, it should be because of the mysterious ice of the 9 heavens. Luo Xuewu said casually, I don't have a purine body, so I have some sequelae. Fuck, it doesn't matter if you have sequelae. I can't stand it. The little effect in Li Fan's body was completely frozen by Luo Xuewu's cold air. He picked up Luo Xuewu and put her aside. Then he sat cross-legged on the bed and began to circulate his qi to regulate his breath. The innate qi in his body also seemed to be frozen. Li Fan revolved 7 by 7 for 49 cycles before he digested all the cold energy in his body. When he woke up, Luo Shuawu had already tidied up her clothes, wearing only a simple red bellyband, and was sitting opposite him. Li Fan was a little speechless. What era was it? Why did she still wear bellybands? Husband, you're awake. Luo Shuawu became a little gentle, looking at Li Fan with watery eyes. It's too early to call me husband, we've already had physical intimacy, why can't I call you husband? Luo Shuawu asked. Not yet, okay. Li Fan was quite speechless, the most important thing hasn't been done yet. Haven't we touched and kissed? Do you want to renege on your promise? Luo Shuawu seemed a little unhappy. It's not what you think, Li Fan said, I'm so thin-skinned, but I have to explain such a blushing and heartbeat problem. He leaned close to Luo Shuawu's ear and told her the key point. I see. Luo Shuawu didn't really understand. Do you understand? Isn't it just a train entering a cave? What's there to not understand? Luo Shuawu said, anyway, you and I will be husband and wife sooner or later. If you want to come in, just come in. Fuck, it's not that I don't want to go in. It's just that your place is an ice cave. Go to hell. I guess, if I didn't have some strength, I wouldn't be able to be your wife. Li Fan told him the truth, with your current physique, you won't be able to enter without the skills of a grandmaster. Why? Do you even need to ask? Only a generation's grandmaster can practice martial arts to such a high level. Li Fan was also very helpless. Although sleeping with Luo Shuawu wasn't his original intention, no matter what, he had finally made up his mind to end his life as a manual driver for so many years. He didn't expect that he would fail in the end. The road of life was indeed bumpy. Why don't you put that thing on the fire to roast and then put it in? Luo Shuawu's question almost made Li Fan cry. How could he barbecue this fellow? Roasting a human penis with cumin. I can't talk to you, Li Fan waved his hand. It was too tiring to talk like this. We are husband and wife, we can talk about anything. We haven't done it yet. Don't talk about it so early. Li Fan reminded her hurriedly. Sooner or later. Then we'll talk about it on that day. Li Fan just wanted to have a good sleep now and didn't want to think about anything else. Are we going to separate tomorrow? Luo Shuawu sat at the head of Li Fan's bed and sighed faintly. After all, I still have my own things to do. Li Fan waved his right hand, and no matter whether my right hand is still there or not, I don't want to rely on the sword to survive. I understand. Luo Shuawu looked at Li Fan deeply. Then I'll let you develop first, but when you leave, you'll still be the sword. Got it. After Li Fan finished speaking, he closed his eyes. Although the effect of the drug had passed, the alcohol came. Li Fan's alcohol tolerance was not big. He leaned on the pillow and began to feel dizzy. Soon he fell asleep. You slept well. Luo Shuawu sighed. She opened the quilt and covered Li Fan with it. Then she took the initiative to get into Li Fan's quilt. After practicing the 9 Heavens mystic ice technique, his body often felt cold. But Li Fan's body had a warm aura, like a small stove. Luo Shuawu couldn't help hugging Li Fan to warm herself. Unknowingly, Luo Shuawu also fell asleep. Yi Jian's boat finally approached the port. Li Fan got off the boat. There was a Land Rover waiting for him outside. Husband, I'll send you here. Luo Shuawu was wearing a white plain dress. She stood on the dock and looked at the high-spirited Li Fan in front of her. I'll wait for you to marry me at Yi Jian. Okay, Li Fan didn't know what to say, but Luo Shuawu's gaze was firm. He couldn't say anything to refuse. Yi Jian's group watched Li Fan leave. He said goodbye to them and sat in the Land Rover. Li Fan cultivated on the boat for a few days. Now it was time to return to H City. Without him in Fifan escort agency, he didn't know what it was like now and if anyone bullied them. Li Fan, do you really plan to go back? At this moment, the driver who had been driving silently suddenly spoke. Li Fan was shocked. He looked in the rearview mirror. Sure enough, the driver was a familiar face. Lu Zhu, why are you here? I heard something happened to you. I was worried, so I came to take a look. Seeing that Li Fan's right hand was still there, Lu Zhu heaved a sigh of relief. I thought your right hand was really chopped off. You scared me. It was chopped off, but it grew out again. Li Fan smiled. Lu Zhu almost stepped on the brake. Are you kidding me? You're not a gecko. I'm much more tenacious than a gecko. Li Fan laughed. I don't care about losing an arm or a leg. Fuck, what a pervert, Lu Zhu couldn't help but mutter. How did you find me? Li Fan was very concerned about this. However, Lu Zhu smiled. Yi Jian is such a big boat. How could I not see you? It's really not difficult to track you guys. So, Murong and Bo can also find me. Yes. Do you see the two black Toyotas behind? Lu Zhu pointed to the back. They're all from Murong's family. They won't let you off so easily. It's okay. We'll deal with it when it comes. Li Fan looked back. Let them come. At this moment, in the Toyota behind, a young man called Murong Feather was sitting. He was a young expert from Murong's family. He ran the family business nearby. He had always been very depressed. He didn't have a chance to make a name for himself. But now, the chance had come. Chapter 771. Li Fan actually came to my territory. This little overlord, Li Fan, has the guts to challenge Murong's family. If it was him in the past, Murong Feather would not dare to provoke him. But now it's different. Li Fan has lost an arm and lost half of his fighting strength. Little Overlord is no longer effective. Their car turned into the tunnel. The thug in charge of driving said, "Follow them and trap him in the tunnel." Murong Feather ordered. He had already laid a trap and was waiting for Li Fan to jump into it. Lu Zhu, who had no idea how to sneak into Yi Jian, suddenly slammed his foot on the brake and almost threw Li Fan out. My God, are you trying to throw me back to H City? Li Fan stabilized his body and could not help but ask. They blocked the tunnel. Lu Zhu pointed at the entrance of the tunnel and saw a large truck blocking their way. Not bad, this is really a big move. Li Fan could not help but praise, to use such a scene to catch me, Li Fan, is giving me, Li Fan face. The person in charge of this area should be Murong Feather. Lu Zhu said, he is a very arrogant guy. I guess he wants to catch you to earn some merit. Then let's meet him. Li Fan sat in the car and rolled down the window. Sure enough, Murong Feather brought a group of people and surrounded him. Li Fan, this is my territory. Where do you think you're going? This should be the country's territory. When did it become yours? Li Fan smiled, and the sarcasm in his smile was very strong. Do I still need to report to you? You don't have to report. In Murong Feather's eyes, Li Fan is already a dead man. But don't think about walking out alive today. Your tone is quite arrogant. That's the style of your Murong family. Li Fan was not angry. He said unhurriedly, since you dared to come, do you have something in mind? Li Fan, stop trying to be a hero. You are destined to die here today. Really? Li Fan was unmoved. What makes you say that? Just because you're a cripple now. Murong Feather looked at Li Fan, who was sitting in the car. You're too daring. After provoking the Murong family, instead of hiding under the protection of Yi Jian, you actually dared to come out and behave atrociously. I think you still don't know life from death. Your Murong family is too overbearing. Do you really want to force me into a dead end? Li Fan pretended to be afraid and asked. Ha ha ha, it's too late to be afraid now. Lord Patriarch has ordered that if he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. This time, I'll definitely capture you. Do you really want to fight? Li Fan asked again. Ha ha ha, did you guys hear what this trash said? Murong Feather and the surrounding thugs laughed together as if Li Fan was saying a funny joke. This trash actually wants to fight with us. This is too funny, really too funny. Alright, then I'll fight you. Li Fan sighed. He was advising with good intentions, but the other party did not appreciate it. Don't stay in the car. Get out and let me kill you. As Murong Yu spoke, he extended his hand and grabbed onto the car door, forcefully ripping it off. This car is quite expensive. You better remember to pay for it. While Li Fan was speaking, Murong Feather reached out with both hands and pulled him out. But when Murong Feather saw Li Fan's right arm, he was instantly stunned. The arrogance on his face earlier turned into fear at this moment. Your right hand, sorry, it's recovered. As Li Fan said, his true energy erupted and pushed Murong Feather 2 steps back. What are you guys still standing there for? Hurry up and attack. Murong Feather roared at the thugs beside him. Little Tyrant had recovered his right arm. Why didn't anyone tell me about this? No, my life is the most important. I am a member of Murong family, how can I die in a place like this? Absolutely not. Murong Feather ordered his underlings to surround and beat up Li Fan. A dozen or so of Murong family's thugs immediately pounced forward. Every single one of them pulled out a sword from their waist and held it in their hands. Murong Villa's thugs usually used swords. Every single one of their treasured swords were forged from steel, and there were carvings of Murong family on them. Every single one of them was a treasured sword, and they were all pointed at Li Fan, preparing to chop Li Fan into mincemeat. However, Li Fan stretched out his right hand. Although the strength of this arm was not strong enough, the control of true energy far surpassed his left hand. All of the treasured swords suddenly broke away from the control of Murong Villa's thugs and flew into the air. Those thugs were all shocked. Li Fan raised his right hand and controlled these treasured swords. A total of 12 treasured swords, including Murong Feather's treasured sword, flew up and floated beside Li Fan. Li Fan's right hand was completely wrapped in true energy. This true energy formed a golden armor, covering Li Fan's right hand. Murong Feather was shocked when he saw this. At this time, a loyal Murong thug turned the front of the truck and suddenly passed through the tunnel, directly rolling towards Li Fan. Li Fan coldly snorted and took a step forward. His left hand emitted a white mist. His left hand turned into a palm, and under the effect of Li Fan's alien bone-changing power, his left arm also began to transform. Black scales seemed to grow out. Li Fan's left hand was like a real Qilin's claw as it smashed into the truck that was rushing over. Qilin palm. Bang! Under the combined effect of ice and fire, the front of the truck directly sank in, and then the entire truck began to disintegrate. After being hit by Li Fan's Qilin palm, the heat and cold together caused all objects to collapse. Murong family's people were so scared that they peed their pants. At this time, they did not care about whether they were loyal or not. Saving their lives was more important. Murong Feather had already set a very good example. He took the lead and ran outside. And with a wave of Li Fan's right hand, 12 swords immediately flew out and inserted themselves into the tunnel entrance, sealing the path of those people. Since you're here, let's have some fun. Li Fan pointed at Murong Feather. Didn't you want to fight with me? Why are you running? Li Fan. Don't go too far. Murong Feather pulled out a sword from the ground and threw it at Li Fan. A sword chi instantly traveled along the ground and shot towards Li Fan. Li Fan extended his right hand and released his true chi. It looked like he was using his palm to block Murong Feather's sword chi, easily dispelling his attack. You said you're here to fight, but you only have this little strength. Li Fan sighed. This is not fun, young man. You're cheating. Murong Feather was about to pee. How did he recover his arm? This is not scientific. It's because you're too weak. Li Fan raised his right hand again and condensed his true chi. Chapter 772. Li Fan's right hand moved forward, and a palm wind instantly spread in the tunnel, hitting those thugs and knocking them down to the ground. At the same time, Li Fan's right hand pulled Murong Feather's body to the front, and then with a crane point, he froze there, making him unable to move. I won't kill you today. Li Fan still had the aura of a king. Go back and tell your Murong Bo that I, Li Fan, am back, and tell him to be prepared. Li Fan, don't be too arrogant. Murong Feather's body trembled a little, but he could not put down his face, and still said ruthless words. My master can break your arm once, and he can break it again. He is a great master of his generation. You're courting death by going against him. A great master of his generation is nothing. Even if the undead evil Buddha comes, I will still beat him up. Li Fan was telling the truth, but Murong Feather seemed to be a little unconvinced. Li Fan, don't brag there. Our Murong family has the strength. Why would we be afraid of you? You're just bluffing now. Do you dare to do anything to me? Li Fan did not speak. He grabbed Murong Feather's head with his left hand, and waved his right hand to the right. It was as if an invisible hand had grabbed Murong Feather's left arm, and this arm was directly torn off. Blood spilled out. Murong Feather wept bitterly and wailed again and again. He was thrown to the ground by Li Fan, twitching and cursing at Li Fan. Li Fan, Li Fan. You dare to break my arm. Murong family will never let you go. I and Murong family have been enemies for a long time. Li Fan said calmly, no matter what method he uses, I will take it on. Let him come. After saying that, Li Fan looked at the Land Rover that had a door torn off and sighed. Sigh, such a good car has been damaged by you. Let's take their car. Lu Zhu had already boarded their Toyota and started the car. This car is pretty good too. All right. Li Fan sat in the car, while Murong Feather was helped up by a thug. He sat in the tunnel and roared at Li Fan. Li Fan. Murong's family will not forgive you. He kept on roaring, as if he wanted to vent his anger by shouting. Come here often. Li Fan rolled down the window and gave Murong Feather a smile. As Murong Feather watched the Toyota drive away, he suddenly roared at his men. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and send me to the hospital. A group of thugs hurriedly sent him away. Murong Feather shouted again, Bastard. Take my arm with you. Tell me, maybe it can be reconnected. No, young master, it fell into the sewer. Find it for me. Yes, a group of people began to search in a flurry, and Murong Feather's cries could be heard from the tunnel. At this time, Li Fan had already followed Lu Zhu to the airport. Are you really going back to a city? Lu Zhu was still a little worried about Li Fan. Murongbo's home is in the suburbs of a city. Won't it be too dangerous for you to go back? Whether it's a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, I have to go. Li Fan stretched. As the saying goes, lice don't itch when there are too many of them. I'm already used to it. You should be more careful. In my opinion, you should find a place to cultivate for a period of time and train your strength. That's true, but it's still very dangerous. If I'm afraid of this little bit of danger, I'll find a cave to live in. Li Fan laughed. The more dangerous it is, the happier I am. Fighting can make me stronger. Why are you like a fighting maniac? When your martial arts cultivation reaches a certain level, you will also look forward to every battle. Li Fan set his own level. I can't feel it. Lu Zhu shrugged. Actually, I don't like to practice martial arts. It's really boring, not interesting at all. That's because you don't feel the fun. Li Fan smiled. One day, you will feel it. I hope that day comes soon. Lu Zhu curled his lips. Then I'll send you here. I originally wanted to find a place to hide you, but I didn't expect you to choose a dangerous place. He thought for a moment and winked at Li Fan. Why don't you come to solipsism? In any case, you have already fallen out with Murong's villa. Isn't solipsism better? Forget it. What kind of place is solipsism? How can I go there? Li Fan rolled his eyes. You should also get out of there as soon as possible. The Devil's Sect is not a good place. You can't persuade me, and I can't persuade you either. Lu Zhu sighed. You have also seen what the righteous path of Jianghu is like. There are good and bad everywhere. I am in the demonic path and have a younger brother like you. As for me in the righteous path, I have a few good friends. Forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. I'll send you here. Lu Zhu was unable to persuade Li Fan and could only give up. And the future is long. Let's meet again in the future. Not knowing if he will continue to study in private No. 2 high school, Li Fan waved goodbye to him. After Lu Zhu left, Li Fan said a few words to the side. Come out. Why don't you sit in the same car as us? It would be better to protect you in secret. Chen Junhua carried a great sword on his back and walked out from the corner. There are also some small fries who wanted to find trouble with you. I have already helped you get rid of them. Many thanks. This trip has been hard on you. Li Fan sighed with emotion. Indeed, a friend in need is a friend indeed. When I was in the limelight, those who came to make friends with me have all disappeared. I wonder how Dong Yi is doing. Recently, I have not contacted him. When I was still in good condition, Dong Yi was willing to join hands with me. Now that I am in bad condition, if Dong Yi is a smart person, he will probably withdraw his investment. Li Fan accompanied Chen Junhua and checked their weapons before boarding the plane. Why is it economy class? After squeezing into the seat, Chen Junhua could not help but ask. Fuck. How can I afford to fly first class with my little money? Li Fan rolled his eyes. Do you always fly first class when you go out? Yeah. Huashan's sect also has a lot of financial groups. Chen Junhua nodded. I can just accept a few rich businessmen as my disciples. At the very least, I should be in business class. You can run after the plane. With my Qinggong, I can't catch up with the plane. Chen Junhua said seriously. Brotherly, can you? I can catch up with the rocket. Brotherly is so powerful. I have to learn more from Brotherly. Fuck. Looking at Chen Junhua's serious face, Li Fan could not help but think of Guan Wenbao. These two smothering cannons were a pair. No, no, I can't think like that. Kuchuansa will go crazy. Thinking of this brother, Li Fan smiled again. I must find an opportunity to pull him into phenomenal escort agency. Chapter 773. In this season, City A had already started to get a little cold. The people of City A all liked to say one sentence. There was no autumn in City A at all. Basically, after summer, winter was almost here. The cold wind, coupled with the river wind of Songjiang, was bone-chilling. Many people put on winter clothes. When the plane landed, many people were still wearing half-sleeves. Once they got off the plane, all of them were so cold that their lips turned purple and their whole body shivered. Only Li Fan and Chen Junhua were exceptions. The two of them only wore simple unlined clothes and walked down from the plane. Damn, big brother, aren't you cold? A strong man hugged his arms and asked Li Fan while shivering. Damn, my mink fur is in the checked box. I'm freezing to death. This big brother didn't know whether he was complaining or showing off. Fortunately, my Land Rover is outside. By the way, do you want to take a car? I'm a part-time driver. Li Fan and Chen Junhua had black lines on their foreheads. So this guy was driving a special car. No, thank you for your kindness. Li Fan thanked this big brother and pulled Chen Junhua out. But as soon as they got out of the airport, they were blocked by a row of cars outside. Li Fan, right? A serious-looking man in a suit walked over, took out an ID from his arms, and showed it to Li Fan. National Security Agency. Zhou Tai. Li Fan was a little surprised. Why was the National Security Agency looking for him? Please get in the car. The other party confirmed Li Fan's identity and then opened the door of a Accord next to him. What's the matter? Li Fan frowned. Please cooperate with our work. The other party's words were somewhat forceful. Okay, then Junhua, you go back to Fictional escort agency first. I'll accompany them. Li Fan gave Chen Junhua a look. Chen Junhua immediately stretched out his hand, and the big sword behind him was directly unsheathed. It fell in front of him and stabbed into the ground. The people of the National Security Agency were nervous and pulled out their pistols from behind. Li Fan was very embarrassed. What are you doing? Didn't you give me a look just now to tell me to make a move? Li Fan was speechless. I want you to go back first and help me inform my family. Oh, Chen Junhua put away the sword again. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Li Fan hurriedly explained to the people from the National Security Agency that they had no intention of putting away their guns. The person called Zhou Tai who spoke to Li Fan before seemed to have some status. Put them away. It's fine. After Zhou Tai gave the order, those people put away their pistols. Many people were looking at them, wondering what had happened. Sorry, let's go. Li Fan followed Zhou Tai into the Black Accord, while Chen Junhua silently left with his great sword on his back. Li Fan sat in the car and looked at Zhou Tai, who had a poker face. Do you have anything to say? We haven't arrived yet. Zhou Tai was very calm. I'll talk to you more when we get there. The Accord slowly moved. In front of it was a truck. When the Accord drove past, the two vehicles just happened to enter a tunnel. The rear compartment of the truck opened, and the Accord drove in. They kept moving. Li Fan was very familiar with this move as they had used it during robberies. He didn't expect that other than himself, the people from the government also liked to play this game. Well, it's safe here. All external signals have been blocked. Zhou Tai said, we can talk now. Why? You're from the government. Why are you so cautious? You think the government can be lawless. Zhou Tai smiled. This country is too big, and the internal struggles are very fierce. Take the Special Abilities Bureau for example. How did such a big government organization fall? You haven't forgotten, right? Li Fan was silent for a moment. How could he forget this matter? He looked at Zhou Tai and waited for him to continue. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm waiting to hear what you're going to say. Li Fan, you're in a very dangerous situation now. Do you know that? Zhou Tai pushed his glasses. This habit reminded Li Fan of Bai Lin Luo. I'm surrounded by enemies. I'm already used to it. You think it's a matter of the underworld? Zhou Tai sneered. Although it's related to the underworld, it's not entirely the case. Li Fan, the government has set their eyes on you. You're now a dangerous person. What do you mean? Just continue. Your power is beyond the government's control. The embroidered uniform guards have already tried to assassinate you in the dark, but they all failed. So you're going to arrest me? Li Fan asked. That depends on whether you cooperate or not. What if I cooperate? What if I don't? If you cooperate, then we can cooperate. If you don't, then you'll end up as a prisoner. Zhou Tai's words made Li Fan a little uncomfortable. Zhou Tai seemed to have seen through Li Fan's thoughts and continued. Li Fan, I'm not threatening you. I'm afraid you've already taken no less than 1, or even 10 lives, right? A life for a life, that's the law. You've broken the law. Shouldn't I arrest you? You should. Li Fan was silent for a moment and said. But if you want to arrest me, you'll have to rely on your ability. We know that you found a small island in the South Sea. Zhou Tai continued, we can sell you the ownership of that small island. Zhou Tai's words poked Li Fan's heart. Moreover, Extraordinary Escort Agency doesn't have a legal business license. All your business now is illegal income. If you're willing to cooperate, then everything will be fine. The business license and the ownership of the small island can be given to you. Such a big temptation. What exactly do you want to cooperate with me for? Li Fan finally couldn't hold it in anymore. The other party was giving him too much authority. The embroidered uniform guard has already become a completely black organization that has been used by certain people. Zhou Tai threw out his bargaining chip and continued, including the sweepers, the organization managed by Long Qingyun. I know very well what they're doing behind the scenes. I want to do something, but I don't have a good hand. I'm your good hand. Don't you know how many enemies I have behind me? The forces of the martial world are nothing to be afraid of. Zhou Tai chuckled, without the support of the government, they're just wild people after all. Including Murong's family, they also have the support of the government. Otherwise, how could they become the supreme masters of the martial world? Sure enough. Li Fan looked at Zhou Tai and didn't rush to agree. Instead, he asked, on what basis can you offer these conditions? Indeed, I can't. Zhou Tai nodded, but the people behind me can. Chapter 774. Zhou Tai had someone backing him and wanted to support Li Fan. To Li Fan, this matter was both good and bad. Fortunately, Li Fan could obtain the support of the government. Zhou Tai was right. In the pugilistic world, without the support of the government, it would be difficult to develop. The reason why the Murong clan was able to develop so well was because they had received a series of official support, which was why they were able to get to where they were today. But if he agreed, then he would become a puppet of the government. To be honest, when the gods above are fighting, a mortal like me doesn't really want to get involved. I didn't drag you in to fight with them. Zhou Tai said as he turned on a monitor in front of him. A glass vessel appeared on it, and inside it was a familiar naked man. When Li Fan saw this person, he was shocked. "Isn't this the guy I killed on a certain island? I remember that I smashed him to pieces." "Yes, but his body automatically repaired itself." Zhou Tai pointed at this person and said to Li Fan, "He is called the Creator, the leader of the Golden Empire." Ah! Li Fan was shocked. Unknowingly, Mr. Yang was sitting next to Zhou Tai again and said with a smile, "He is a very powerful person. You have already met him twice." Twice? Li Fan was a little surprised. Meeting his body once was the first time. When was the second time? This person's fleshly body is in a state of immortality and indestructibility. Even though his soul has died, his body is still preserved. In his body, there is a very special biological energy. It can be said that it is a kind of spiritual energy. Zhou Tai explained, "By chance, when you entered that island, you found his body. Then, we captured his body and placed it in the laboratory to conduct experiments." Li Fan frowned, using the Creator's body to conduct experiments. "I'm afraid this is not a righteous act. If we can research something useful, it can indeed benefit mankind." Zhou Tai did not refute, but if it is used improperly, it can also create a terrifying killing weapon. "So, do you think I will support you?" "I'm not asking for your support. I'm asking for a conditional exchange." Zhou Tai said, "Moreover, this thing is a hot potato. With it in our hands, it will attract the covetous eyes of other countries. We support you in the hope that your strength can be used by us. In the future, it can help us protect it." Protection. You wouldn't hide this thing in a city, would you? Of course. Zhou Tai smiled. "We will place it on your little island. That way, it will be foolproof." "Oh yes, to be precise, it's still our island." Coercion and bribery, Chief Zhou. This concerns the interests of the entire country. Zhou Tai said, "We've been silent for too long, haven't we? How shall I answer you? Just tell me directly, are you doing it or not?" "All right, I'll do it." Li Fan's thoughts were very simple. After all, it was because of him that the body of the Creator had reappeared in the human world. If it was not controlled by their own country, it would be snatched away by other countries. They might as well let their own country take advantage of it. All right. Straightforward. As expected of the little tyrant. Zhou Tai nodded. "Actually, the higher-ups didn't take a fancy to you in the beginning. They took a fancy to someone else. I was the one who pushed you out." "Someone else? Who is it?" "Jiang Feng." Zhou Tai said, "During the battle at Murong Villa, you defeated Jiang Feng, and Murong both chased him out. Now he's out in the pugilistic world, but he has a good reputation and has made many friends. Many people are willing to help him." "Ha, this guy actually went solo." Li Fan smiled. "I reckon there will be plenty of friction in the future. With our support, your development will definitely be better than his." Zhou Tai said as he took out a contract. "What contract is this?" "A contract to escort X." Zhou Tai explained. This X was the body of the Creator. Because Li Fan ran an escort agency, in order to express the sincerity of both sides, Zhou Tai was willing to give this opportunity to Li Fan in the form of escorting an escort. To escort X to Li Fan's Li Family Island, it had to be transported by sea. If it was transported by plane, it would be too big of a target and would be easily discovered. We just need to send it to Bayfish Circle. A map appeared on Zhou Tai's screen. He pointed at the city of Bayfish Circle in the northeast. Bayfish Circle was a quiet coastal city. In the past 2 years, it had suddenly started to develop and focus on tourism. Disregarding everything else, the housing prices had already started to rise. However, the climate and environment there were not bad, suitable for retirement. It's not convenient for the government to mobilize a large number of people. This will attract the attention of the enemy. Zhou Tai tapped on the contract. So, we can only rely on you. Sure. Such an expensive escort can't be short of money, right? Li Fan was a famous profiteer. He hurriedly asked about the payment. 3 million, Zhou Tai said. Zhou Tai said, I'll send it into your account in 3 installments. There'll be the deposit, the money to Bayfish Circle, and the remaining balance after the matter is completed. Zhou Tai repeatedly reminded, remember, Li Fan, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for both you and me. Zhou Tai was also an ambitious person. He supported Li Fan for his own sake. If Li Fan did well, then he would have a meteoric rise because of this relationship, stepping into the center of power in the organization. He was different from other people. In the organization, many people who could rise to the top were the descendants of officials. As for Zhou Tai, he was an ordinary white-collar worker. After taking the civil service exam, he climbed step by step to his current position. However, he was only a deputy division-level official. Many times, to an ordinary person, being able to reach the deputy division level was already considered the peak. Above the deputy division level, there was still the division level, deputy bureau level, deputy department level, deputy minister level, and finally, the deputy national level, the divine altar of the nation level. Zhou Tai did not want to be a deputy division level for the rest of his life. He wanted to continuously climb up and stand in the center of power. Forcefully pushing Li Fan was also a precious opportunity for him. No matter what, I must complete this mission. Even if I have to sacrifice some of your people, I won't hesitate. I will complete the mission, but not a single one of my people can be missing. Li Fan was not someone who would trade his brothers for merits. He looked at the Bayfish Circle and could not help but ask. But even if I can successfully transport it here, what should I do when I reach the sea? You'll naturally know when we get there. Zhou Tai kept him in suspense. All right, go back to school in peace. With us around, Murong Bo will not dare to touch you. Chapter 775. Wang Chang had been very happy recently. Li Fan wasn't around, so he had once again become the boss in school. These days were too blissful. He didn't want to be too happy. Wang Chang was looking forward to the entire 3rd year. Li Fan didn't need to appear anymore, so that he could happily spend his 3rd year in school. In the future, when he went to university, they definitely wouldn't be able to bump into each other. Recently, Wang Chang had also been a bit arrogant. After all, Li Fan wasn't around, and Hua Dehong had also transferred schools. There was no one to suppress him in school. Wang Chang found 2 friends and blocked a boy on the field, directly punching and kicking him. Do you know why I hit you? No. I don't know. If you don't know, then I'll beat you until you know. Wang Chang waved his hand, and the 2 students beside him immediately knocked down the thin boy. Wang Chang went up and kicked him fiercely. The thin boy wailed as he was kicked. His school uniform was covered in footprints, and his face was covered in blood. He desperately begged for mercy, wanting Wang Chang to let him go. Then tell me, what did you do wrong? Wang Chang tidied up his clothes and looked at the battered and weak man in front of him. I really don't know, the boy cried pitifully. He really didn't want to be beaten anymore. Because you got close to the woman I like. Wang Chang chuckled, so you have to get beaten up. Brother Chang, I really didn't get close to the woman you like. Nonsense, Zhang Xiaofei, she's the woman I like. Ah. She's my neighbor. I don't care. Wang Chang scolded. Today, I'll teach you a lesson and tell you who has the final say in this school. No, isn't it little tyrant Li Fan who has the final say? What little tyrant Li Fan? He just ran away. If he didn't run away, I would have taught him a lesson. Before he could finish speaking, his butt was suddenly kicked by someone. Then, he fell forward and fell flat on his face. Who the fuck doesn't want his life anymore, daring to kick me? Wang Chang got up and angrily looked back. He, who was about to flare up, suddenly became terrified. This fellow was none other than the little tyrant, Li Fan, who had disappeared for a long time. Today, Li Fan was still wearing an ordinary school uniform. He stood there with his hands in his pockets. Ah, isn't this brotherly? Wang Chang immediately put on a smiling face and smiled apologetically. When did you come back? Why didn't you tell me so that I could pick you up? How would I dare to trouble you, young Master Wang? Li Fan chuckled. You're the tyrant of our number 2 private high school. I can't afford to trouble you with such an honorable visit. What are you talking about? As long as you need me, I will be there in minutes. That's a nice way to put it. Li Fan still had a smile on his face, but just now, you said that after I return, you will make me pay. I'm back now. Let me take a look. You heard wrong. I was saying, who is the little tyrant? If you come back, I will immediately treat you to a feast. Yes, let's have a feast. Fuck off. I'm not in school, and you're bullying me again. Just as Li Fan finished speaking, the thin boy immediately found a backer, crawled up, ran behind him, and hid. Speaking of which, Wang Chang, do you really like to steal other people's women? Li Fan asked, how about I give all the girls in the school to you? How would I dare? Wang Chang did not dare to say a word. Although he did think so, how many of them were Li Fan's women? He did not dare to have any thoughts. Then stop it for me. If I catch you acting like a tyrant again. As Li Fan said this, he punched the cement wall beside him. A deep fist mark immediately appeared on the cement wall, scaring Wang Chang so much that he almost peed his pants. I won't dare anymore. From today onwards, I will study hard and be a good person. Scram! Li Fan berated him. Wang Chang brought his 2 classmates and ran away dejectedly. Brother, thank you so much. The boy pulled Li Fan's arm and cried bitterly, you must not leave, otherwise Wang Chang will definitely come and hit me again. Don't worry, he doesn't have the guts. Li Fan could not help but sigh. Without him in the private second high school, it seemed that it would not be good. However, it was impossible for him to live here for the rest of his life. After a year, he would graduate. At that time, what would happen to the private second high school? However, that was not something he should think about. He had enough things to worry about. Li Fan sighed and continued to walk towards the school building. Liao Wushuang was still a teacher here. At this moment, in this school, the only person he could trust was her. Student Li Fan. Just as Li Fan entered the corridor, he bumped into Ching Mohan, who was heading to the academic affairs office. This sexy and enchanting chick was actually still in school. She was wearing a school uniform, but it could not hide the beauty of her figure. Ching Mohan held a stack of exam papers and looked at Li Fan with a kind smile on her mouth. Oh, you haven't left yet. The mission given to me by the genie guards is to kill you. I think there are more opportunities in school, so I stayed. Ching Mohan smiled very happily. This woman is also the best. Accept her. Mr. Yang stood next to Ching Mohan. He reached out his hand and touched her buttocks. Then, he smiled evilly at Li Fan. Cheng Mohan suddenly frowned and looked at Li Fan. I didn't expect your heart demon to be so heavy. How did you see it? I can tell by looking at your eyes. Cheng Mohan said and passed by Li Fan. Li Fan's heart sank. What did Cheng Mohan see? Could she see my heart demon? That's impossible. The heart demon only exists in my heart. That's why it appeared in my eyes. When Li Fan wanted to ask what was going on, he turned around and Cheng Mohan had already disappeared. This woman, Li Fan gritted his teeth. Why are so many of my enemies are girls? Li Fan. You're back. He turned the corner and bumped into Liao Wuxuang again. This woman was wearing a teacher's uniform. Her skirt wrapped tightly around her beautiful thighs, which was eye-catching. Almost all the boys who passed by couldn't help but stick their eyes on Liao Wuxuang's legs. Liao Wuxuang grabbed Li Fan, pulled him to a corner, and then threw herself into his arms. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. This woman, sometimes, is really enthusiastic. She looks like a strong woman, but in fact, her heart is completely a little girl. Li Fan reached out and touched her hair. Scoundrel. I thought you died outside, how can that be? You and I have the 7 emotions and 6 desires harmony goo. If I die, you'll be the first to know. If I die, because of the goo, Liao Wuxuang won't live. Chapter 776. Li Fan spent some time with Liao Wuxuang, and then returned to class with the sound of the bell. As expected, the number of pretty girls in the class had decreased significantly. Only Lin Yuhsin was looking at him excitedly. Since there were too many people in the class, she couldn't just throw herself at Li Fan and give him a hug. Jin Zhoma and Ling Yu weren't around. Ling Yu had probably returned to her league, just like Jin Zhoma. Murong loved this girl so much that she wasn't in second high anymore. She had already finished her university studies, so her family wouldn't allow her to stay by her side anymore. Senior sister Xia Yan was busy with Primo Escort Agency's affairs. The agency was currently in a difficult stage and needed help from many people. To Li Fan's surprise, Dong Yi didn't take the opportunity to leave Primo Escort Agency. Instead, he sent Big Dipper and Flying Dragon to City A from the provincial capital to help the escort agency in City A with the escorts. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai were people who had gone through thick and thin with Li Fan, so they definitely wouldn't leave. However, because of Murong's Weibo, Primo Escort Agency's business wasn't doing well. Li Fan and the others were still trying to earn some extra money. Li Fan sat beside Lin Yuhsin and took out his long-lost textbook. He couldn't understand the content in it. He had been away from school for too long, and he wasn't a genius. It was impossible for him to understand everything in a textbook. It's fine. I'll help you with your homework. Lin Yuhsin seemed to have read Li Fan's mind. She became exceptionally gentle and treated Li Fan very well. It was as if she was afraid that Li Fan would sneak away after being separated for so long. Everyone in the underworld knew that Li Fan had lost an arm. Lin Yuhsin must have heard about it from Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai. She peeked at Li Fan's right hand and heaved a sigh of relief. What's wrong? Are you afraid that I'll break your hand? Li Fan was still laughing and joking with Lin Yuhsin, which made Lin Yuhsin so angry that she slapped Li Fan's shoulder. Humph, I wish you were disabled. Sure enough, he couldn't stay cool for more than 3 seconds. Li Fan said that Lin Yuhsin's gentleness would not last more than 3 seconds. You are really asking for a beating. Lin Yuhsin realized that she had accidentally lost her temper again and couldn't help but pout. Lin Yuhsin was about to scold Li Fan again when the teacher came in with a textbook. When he saw Li Fan, he even gave Li Fan a smile. Student Li Fan, you've missed quite a few classes. You have to catch up. Thank you for your concern, teacher. Many students couldn't help but look at Li Fan. Only Li Fan could enjoy such treatment. When other students learned good or bad, the teacher would at most give them a few words of advice and wouldn't be so concerned. Li Fan just sat in class and listened to the heavenly book for an entire class. Damn it, what the hell is he talking about? It's been a long time since I've been here. I don't even understand geometry anymore. Li Fan looked at the questions written on the blackboard by the teacher and felt dizzy. What's wrong? Are you feeling depressed because you haven't studied for a long time? Lin Yuhsin asked. No, I'm just sighing. If only I had a pen that could answer questions automatically. Li Fan was filled with emotions. Your sister. How can there be something so convenient? Lin Yuhsin rolled her eyes. If you roll your eyes again, your big watery eyes will fly out. Li Fan secretly teased Lin Yuhsin. Lin Yuhsin was so angry that she wanted to roll her eyes but didn't dare to. Li Fan picked up the pen and tried to calculate the geometry on the paper. However, he really couldn't understand it. There were many formulas that he hadn't learned before. However, Lin Yuhsin became patient again. She kept telling Li Fan how to solve the questions, including some commonly used formulas, and taught them to Li Fan. Moreover, Lin Yuhsin even researched a few universal formulas and taught them to Li Fan. This kind of learning ability, other than Lin Yuhsin, no one else could do it. Having a high IQ is really different. Li Fan couldn't help but feel a little envious. At this time, Qing Mohan was sitting at the side. She didn't say anything and kept looking at Li Fan. Other people might not be able to see it, but Qing Mohan's cultivation of little phaseless magic had reached a certain level. This little phaseless magic not only had exquisite control over qi, but it could also sense the unique changes in qi. Qing Mohan could see the severity of Li Fan's heart demon through his qi. At this time, Li Fan's entire body was emitting black qi. Only his eyebrows still had a bit of golden light. As long as he had the opportunity, he would transform into a demon. In Jianghu, there were two types of martial arts. One was the orthodox sect's mental cultivation method. It required time to polish and accumulate. The other was the demonic technique. This type of martial art could grow very quickly. It was almost instantaneous, but it would disturb the mind of the cultivator. Without a doubt, Li Fan had already cultivated this kind of evil demonic technique. It was said that Lu Jinchan's first cultivation technique was a demonic art. He felt the evil in his own cultivation technique, and in the end, he reversed his own martial arts and turned it into a righteous supreme art called the Nine Buddha Sutra. But Li Fan seemed to be a little different. His martial art was both good and evil. No one knew what kind of technique it was. However, it was unknown what had happened to Commander Wang Xun recently. Li Fan was clearly still on the blacklist, but he had appeared to save Li Fan the last time. Now, the relationship between the genie guards and Murong Villa was even more tense. If not for the fact that both sides had the support of the government, they would have already torn each other apart. Actually, we have almost finished the course. Next, we will enter the revision stage. The teacher stood on the stage and finished explaining the day's questions. He said, "Students, you have to work hard. Put away your playful thoughts. Put away your playful thoughts. The college entrance examination is the most important stage of your life. Thousands of soldiers and horses are fighting to cross a single wooden bridge. Whether or not you can change your future depends on this time." There was still half a year left, but the teacher was already busy preparing for the war. In an era of peace, the college entrance examination was a battlefield for these students. The teacher stood on the podium and said loudly, "The college entrance examination is fair to every student. As long as you study hard and do well, you can have a meteoric rise. Be tight now. When you enter university, you will be free." The group of students became evil. Li Fan sat there with his body straight. He couldn't help but think of what Zhou Tai had told him before he left. "Li Fan." Zhou Tai patted his arm and said to Li Fan enthusiastically, "Work hard. It doesn't matter if you delay your studies. Although Peking University and Tsinghua University are not easy to arrange, other than these two, you can choose any of the 211 universities." Although that was what he said, Li Fan still wanted to rely on himself. Looking at the group of students preparing to fight for university, Li Fan was filled with emotions. But he was busy dealing with a group of enemies hidden in the dark. Sometimes, ignorance was a kind of happiness. Chapter 777. How come you can't even understand this question? How are you listening in class? During the tutoring session, Lin Yuhsin found out that Li Fan did a wrong question and couldn't help but scold him. "I didn't listen in this class either." Li Fan expressed his innocence. "Humph, you still have the nerve to say that. You're a student, skipping class every day and going out to fool around." "Please, I'm not going out to fool around. I'm working hard for my career." Li Fan hurriedly explained, "Others don't understand me, but you, Lin Yuhsin, do you think you don't understand me? It's because I understand you too well that I'm angry at you." Lin Yuhsin angrily looked at Li Fan. "You should be a good student now. After all, you're only in high school. When you're admitted to university, naturally you can do whatever you want. Why are you like a teacher? You even like to preach." "Humph, humph, because you need to be preached. You're already a grown-up, yet you still need others to lecture you." "No choice, I'm also forced by the situation." Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. "Now there are a lot of things to do every day. I almost forgot that I'm a student." "Sigh, you." Lin Yuhsin also couldn't do anything to Li Fan. "In any case, let me be responsible for tutoring you in school." Lin Yuhsin felt that she could only help Li Fan this much. As for the company's matters, Lin Yuhsin could only help Li Fan manage the accounts. She couldn't interfere in other matters. As for the company's plans and strategies, they were all operated by Ling Tian. Ling Tian was extremely experienced in this aspect, and this was something that could not be faulted. Bai Lin Luo also went to Li Family Island to help, and it was said that his development there was not bad. Lin Yuhsin only hoped that she could help Li Fan a little, otherwise it would seem that she was too incompetent. Li Fan continued to look at the test questions in his hands and frowned slightly. Although the formulas taught by Lin Yuhsin could solve a lot of problems, it was not enough. However, he had fallen behind in too many subjects, and it was indeed a little strenuous for him to learn. Speaking of which, between me and Teacher Liao, who is better at tutoring? Ha! Li Fan was stunned. "Why are you asking this again? You didn't give me an answer last time." Lin Yuhsin seemed very curious about this question. "Can you tell me this time? Why are you so curious? Little girls shouldn't be too curious, or you'll be despised." "You mean you despise me?" Lin Yuhsin pouted and looked at Li Fan with dissatisfaction. "That's not it. I just feel that someone as smart as you shouldn't be asking such a question. No matter how smart a woman is, there will be things that she's curious about, right?" Lin Yuhsin looked at Li Fan and said very seriously, "Have you forgotten that I've told you that your existence has always been beyond my scope of calculation?" "Ha ha ha, then I'm very honored. Go to hell." Lin Yuhsin was quite dissatisfied. Li Fan's attitude made her angry. She was very curious about which woman in Li Fan's heart could walk into it. Lin Yuhsin really wanted to become like Xixia Fairy and fly into Li Fan's heart to ask who was in it. However, reality was not a myth. Lin Yuhsin could only sigh. Forget it, let's do the questions. Lin Yuhsin was also too lazy to bother about these things. If she could do it, she would definitely try her best. But if she couldn't do it, she also couldn't use her strength. I have to go out in 2 days. It'll be about a week. Can you help me sort out the content of this week's lessons? I'll look at it together when I come back. You pig head, what new lessons? It's all about revision now. Lin Yuhsin rolled her eyes. Can't you listen carefully to the teacher's content? Alright, it's my fault. Li Fan had too many things to think about every day. Even during class, it was impossible for him to pay full attention to the teacher's content. Fortunately, he had the help of 2 external helpers, Liao Wushuang and Lin Yuhsin. Both of them could give him supplementary lessons. Since he didn't want to rely on Zhou Tai's help, he had to study hard on his own. Li Fan decided that after returning from this mission, he would properly revise the 3 years of high school curriculum. With Lin Yuhsin's help, he should be able to get a good result. But now, he had other things to consider. Li Fan couldn't help but think of his contract with Zhou Tai. Who should he find to escort this escort? He definitely had to go personally for such an important escort. As for the rest, Guan Bao and Yan Kai, he'd bring them along. Between Big Dipper and Flying Dragon, one of them had to help oversee the escort agency. Big Dipper was older, more experienced, and had a steady temperament. It shouldn't be a problem for him to oversee the rear. As for Chen Junhua, since he was here to train, he'd bring him along too. Shouldn't he use such a good opportunity to train him? Forget about little senior sister Xia Yi, she wasn't mature enough yet, and Yin Xiaoru could bring him along. He could bring Yin Xiaoru along. Her skills as a master thief might come in handy. As for the others, they weren't needed for the time being. Li Fan. Li Fan. Lin Yuhsin's voice suddenly rang in his ears, sounding distant yet close at the same time. Li Fan. Li Fan snapped out of his daze and saw Lin Yuhsin glaring at him. Ah, what's wrong? What are you thinking about? I'm explaining a problem to you. Lin Yuhsin puffed up her cheeks and looked at Li Fan in annoyance. Oh, my bad. Li Fan sighed. He was indeed a little distracted right now. Forget it, you should focus on your work. Lin Yuhsin glared at him helplessly. Tell me if you have any problems at work. Lin Yuhsin adjusted her collar and asked. Yes, there's a mission recently. Li Fan didn't treat Lin Yuhsin as an outsider, so he told her about the mission. Lin Yuhsin thought for a moment and gave a suitable plan. Split up. Lin Yuhsin said, one team will take the open road and attract attention, while the other team will sneak in and take the undiscovered path. That's a safe method. Li Fan nodded. Who will the open road and who will the dark road? Open road, you go. Bring Guan Bao and Yan Kai. Lin Yuhsin said without hesitation, dark road will send Fei Long and Chen Junhua to escort it. You don't want me to escort the dark road? Of course not. Your existence is the best bait. Lin Yuhsin said frankly, you're in charge of attracting everyone's attention, making them think that the dart is with you. As the saying goes, if you don't give them a big bait, how will they fall for our trick obediently? That sounds reasonable. Li Fan couldn't help but nod. Then let's do it according to your plan. I believe in you. Yes, everything will be fine as long as it reaches the Spanish equinox. What do you think Zhou Tai and the rest have arranged in the Spanish equinox? How simple, a nuclear submarine. Well, as long as we encounter the Spanish mackerel, everything will be fine. What do you think Zhou Tai and the rest have arranged in the Spanish equinox? How simple, a nuclear submarine. Chapter 778. Lin Yuhsian had always been a prophet, so Li Fan believed in her deduction. However, before that, Li Fan still had a difficult problem to deal with. The capital chain of Primeval Escort Agency was broken. Although Lu Xinan had given them a lot of money, and Zhou Tai had also received a deposit. However, the scale of Primeval Escort Agency was too big. This amount of money was not enough to maintain the entire agency's operations. Li Fan did not want to ask Lu Xinan for help. He had to think of a way to solve his current problem. Boss, it's that bank. The Devil's Incarnation invited Li Fan to a Malatang shop for a meal. He then pointed to a foreign bank across the street. I've sent someone to investigate this bank. It's a private bank in Japan. It's filled with money from corrupt officials and businessmen. The Devil's Incarnation lowered his voice. Boss, we've been having a hard time with cash flow recently. Let's do it. Tofu Wang, do you know that robbing a bank is illegal? Li Fan asked calmly. Yeah, robbing a bank is obviously illegal. But robbing a Japanese bank is helping the people and upholding justice. The Devil's Incarnation said with a straight face. Li Fan glared at the Devil's Incarnation. How about it, boss? Are you doing it or not? The Devil's Incarnation was a little excited. His hand that was holding the Mala Tang was trembling. The Devil's Incarnation was a person who loved to look for excitement from the moment he was born. He was not willing to do anything that was not exciting. Li Fan thought about it as he picked his teeth. He saw a cash truck parked in front of the Tree Flag Bank. He immediately fell into deep thought. 4 security guards jumped down. 2 of them were carrying shotguns, while the other 2 were carrying metal boxes. They walked into the bank. There were also 2 security guards patrolling at the side. They seemed to be very careful. I heard that there's a ton of gold in this vault. The Devil's Incarnation lowered his voice again. There was a trace of greed in his eyes. A ton of gold. Wouldn't that be more than 200 million renminbi? Li Fan was a little surprised. So much money was not a small amount. Once 200 million renminbi was invested into his Fictional escort agency, the company would not have to worry about funding for the next 1 or 2 years. Since the other party was being so careful, it meant that there really was a vault under this bank. How do you want to rob them? Take a few guns and openly rob them. Sure. Boss, you're a martial arts master. Robbing a bank is just a matter of minutes. Martial arts masters? Do you think martial arts masters can do everything? Li Fan wiped his mouth clean and whispered, Jianghu has its own rules. If I do that, then I won't be able to stay in Jianghu anymore. The embroidered uniform guards, the government, and all the other Jianghu forces will not tolerate me. From now on, I can only go to one place, and that is the Devil's Sect. Isn't the Devil cult also pretty good? The Devil Incarnate laughed. Once you enter, you will be free and unfettered. Why should you be restrained? There are some restrictions that you can ignore. But there are some restrictions that you give yourself and you should abide by them. Li Fan said. But Mr. Yang, who was sitting beside him, sneered. In your heart, do you really want to live like this? Li Fan was silent for a moment. This Mr. Yang's question was a bit sharp. Sometimes, Li Fan did not know what he was thinking. Was he a good person or a bad person? What is good and bad? Look at the man sitting beside you. He is a smuggler. Who knows how many people's lives are on his back? But now, he's sitting next to you, calling you brother. Mr. Yang's words were like a sharp knife stabbing into Li Fan's heart. This damned Mr. Yang. Can't he not be so annoying? Boss, let's do this. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. The devil incarnate continued to persuade Li Fan. Li Fan was also a bit hesitant. At this moment, Li Fan received a message from Ling Tian. Because of Murong's Weibo, many forces in the underworld did not do business with the escort agency. Now, the escort agency was in an awkward situation. Not only in City A, but even Dong Yi had not had any business for a long time. If this went on, the agency would definitely be finished. Let's go back. Li Fan paid the bill and stood up to leave. Boss, we're not doing this job anymore. The devil incarnate stood up, looking a bit disappointed. Idiot, let's go back and think about it. All right. The devil incarnate immediately cheered up. This was the boss that he would follow wholeheartedly. When Li Fan returned to Phenomenal Escort Agency, Ling Tian was sitting on the office chair, extremely busy. Oh. Ling Tian raised his eyebrows and looked at Li Fan, really? You're really playing big this time. I have no choice but to do this. Li Fan shrugged. No one wanted to do this. It's too risky, and it's illegal. Ling Tian purposely said, if anything goes wrong, we'll all go to jail. So, you don't want to do it, right? As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, the devil incarnate was not going to do it. Don't. If we don't do it, what are we going to eat? We're all going to starve tomorrow. Ling Tian, aren't you full of ideas? Why are you scared now? Speaking of which, Tree Flag Bank does have some gray income. If we can squeeze some money out of them, it's not a big deal. Ling Tian pondered for a moment, considering that our current economic situation is indeed a little problematic. I feel that this idea is feasible. Damn, I knew you had foresight. The devil incarnate immediately became happy. This is our good strategist. However, Tree Flag Bank is the bank of some corrupt officials. It's well protected. Ling Tian muttered, we have to think of a foolproof plan. Then I'll leave the plan to you. Li Fan had absolute trust in Ling Tian. Actually, we can let Lin Yuhsian give it a try. Ling Tian suggested, she's quite smart. In this aspect, she's much better than me. No, don't let her participate in this kind of thing. Li Fan flatly refused, you can't even let her know, understand? Okay. Ling Tian understood Li Fan's meaning, you're the boss, you have the final say. Thank you for understanding. There were some things that he absolutely could not let Lin Yuhsian interfere in. In Li Fan's heart, he still subconsciously wanted to protect the innocence in Lin Yuhsian's heart. This kind of dark matter, just leave it to him. Then I'll help you plan it tonight. Ling Tian agreed immediately, and the devil incarnate stood at the side, already eager to give it a try. Li Fan, on the other hand, was a little depressed in his heart. Was his choice right or wrong? But no matter if it was right or wrong, if he didn't do this, his company would collapse. Chapter 779. Yang Ping was an ordinary bank employee who worked at Tree Flag Bank. This Tree Flag Bank was different from ordinary banks. It was a foreign bank. Although Yang Ping was just an ordinary employee, his monthly bonus was not small. He had heard that behind this bank were some anti-Chinese enterprises, but this had nothing to do with him. This was because his current salary gave him a lot of face in front of his friends. Whether it was a meeting with relatives or a class reunion, everyone had to look up to him, Yang Ping, and be envious of his current job. Yang Ping's monthly salary was 10,000 renminbi, and with some bank bonuses, he could earn 20,000 to 30,000 renminbi every month. Yang Ping was very satisfied, even if the money in the bank was black money. This money was used for financial management and investment projects, and the money earned was used for some anti-Chinese enterprises. As usual, Yang Ping held his briefcase under his arm and drove his Kia K5 sedan to the bank for work. Yamamoto Jiro was their boss. He was a meticulous middle-aged man in a suit with his hair combed back. He had a small mustache and looked like Hitler. His favorite thing to do was to pick on the Chinese employees. He was completely different from the other friendly Japanese colleagues in the bank. Although he was cursing Yamamoto Jiro in his heart, Yang Ping was still full of smiles when he saw him. He nodded and bowed to Yamamoto Jiro. "What are you still smiling for? Hurry up and get to work." Yamamoto Jiro scolded Yang Ping, "You Chinese just like to be lazy. The work here is very important, and every cent of the customer's money is very precious. The customers paid for it, not for you to be lazy." Yes, Manager Yamamoto. I will definitely work hard and not let the leaders and customers down. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and get back to work. Yes. Yang Ping adjusted his tie and sat down at his workstation. Every day at 10 a.m., the bank's cash transport truck would arrive on time to collect the bank's gold bars and banknotes and send them out for capital operations. This Tree Flag Bank was the city's main branch. 10 meters below them, there was a vault. The vault was made of steel, and the steel plate was 30 centimeters thick. Even explosives would not be able to break it open. There were a total of 3 locks on the door of the vault. The first lock was a combination lock, which was controlled by the vault security guard and changed every day. The second lock was a fingerprint lock that required Manager Yamamoto's fingerprint to open. The third lock was a voice-activated lock. Every day, when they opened the vault, they had to call the Huaxia region CEO and ask him to open it. If any of the 3 locks were missing, the door to the treasury would not be able to open. The vault of Tree Flag Bank was the safest. Every customer there was either rich or respectable. If you didn't have a 7-digit deposit, you wouldn't even be able to enter this bank. Yang Ping sat on the sofa and warmly received a customer. This customer was a relative of an official and wanted to transfer the accounts to Tree Flag Bank. Both of them were big clients. Yang Ping looked at them with a face full of smiles. He wished he could lie down and lick every single stain off their shoes. If you open an account with Flag Tree Bank now, you can also enjoy a free diamond card issued by Flag Tree Bank. With this diamond card, you can enjoy VIP treatment at all airports and have a certain overdraft limit. There will also be a professional financial consultant to serve you. What is a diamond card? This lady obviously had some foundation. Do you have a Centurion card? I don't have the qualifications to apply for a Centurion card. That's great. It doesn't matter if you have a diamond card. I just heard that your bank's vault is the safest in the world. That's why I came to look for you. Don't worry. Even if a tank came, it wouldn't be able to blast through our vault door. Yang Ping immediately patted his chest and said, "You can just deposit your money in our bank." Is there anything else? The lady was about to continue asking questions when the bank door was pushed open. 2 cash transport guards holding shotguns walked in. They wore black sunglasses and stood on both sides after coming in. Yang Ping felt a little strange. The guard next to him also walked over and asked directly. "It's not time to withdraw money yet." "No, which security guard are you?" Before he could finish speaking, a security guard had already swung his shotgun and knocked the guard out with the butt of the gun. The guard lay on the ground, his body twitching. The other guard of the bank directly pulled out his gun from his waist. The security guard who escorted the money was even faster. He picked up his shotgun and fired. Bang! The bullet shattered the chandelier above them. The chandelier fell down and smashed on the marble floor, causing the surrounding people to cry out in shock. The bank guards were so scared that they didn't dare to move. There were so many people here that they could all become hostages. 2 security guards stood there with shotguns in their hands, intimidating everyone. Then, 2 masked men walked in. One was wearing a dragon head mask, the other was wearing a pig face mask. The man wearing the dragon head mask was Li Fan. He was holding a Desert Eagle in one hand and a heavy machine gun in the other. Ling Tian had spent a lot of money to get them. This was Huang Lei. This was his first time robbing a bank, so he was a little nervous. Never in his dreams did he think that a little hooligan like him would actually do such a big thing one day. Of the 2 people disguised as security guards, one was Sun Qingchen and the other was the devil incarnate. Because most of the company's people had been sent to leave Family Island, there weren't many veterans left here. Yang Ping was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He squatted at the side and didn't dare to make a sound. Yamamoto Jiro gathered his courage, squatted there and scolded. What are you guys trying to do? Can't you tell? This is a robbery. Li Fan's Desert Eagle was aimed at Yamamoto Jiro. Do I still need to remind you? You guys are simply deranged. Yamamoto Jiro hated these Chinese people to death. They even dared to rob the main branch of Tree Flag Bank. And his ferocity was scared away by the heavy machine gun in Huang Lei's hand. This heavy machine gun was pressed against his temple and could explode his head at any time. The bank's alarm system should have been activated. Ling Tian informed them through his earpiece, "You guys have about 10 minutes. This is a place to deposit black money. The police will come faster than expected." Understood. Li Fan nodded. They had more or less investigated the bank's information. Who is the person in charge of the bank? Li Fan asked while playing with the Desert Eagle. He is. Yamamoto Jiro pointed at Yang Ping and shouted. Yang Ping was so scared that he peed his pants. Chapter 780. Yang Ping didn't expect Yamamoto Jiro to kick the ball to him. Li Fan smiled. He held the Desert Eagle and fired a shot at the top of his head. The gunshot scared Yamamoto Jiro so much that he kneeled on the ground and shivered. He didn't even dare to speak. Do you think I'm stupid? Get up and bring us to the vault. Yamamoto Jiro trembled as he kneeled there. He didn't dare to move. Li Fan gestured. Huang Lei, who was wearing Zhu Beiji's mask, immediately pulled the safety of the heavy machine gun. The sound scared Yamamoto Jiro so much that he almost peed. You only have one chance. Li Fan said, the next time, you will be a dead man. This line sounded like a chinibyu, but Li Fan liked it very much. Our bank doesn't have any money. It's not 10 yet, and the money delivery person hasn't arrived yet. Yamamoto Jiro was still stalling for time when Li Fan shot his foot. Blood and screams erupted together. Yamamoto Jiro's foot was directly shot off. The power of the Desert Eagle wasn't a joke. This time, Yamamoto Jiro was finally terrified. Spare me, spare me. Seeing this scene, Yang Ping didn't know why, but he suddenly felt a little relieved. You, go down as well. Li Fan felt that Yang Ping seemed to know something. When he shouted, Yang Ping was stunned again. Why bring me along? Yang Ping was about to cry. Why bring me along? I'm just an ordinary employee. Li Fan couldn't be bothered with him. This kind of person looked shifty-eyed. One look and you can tell that he isn't a good person. Sun Qingchen and the devil incarnate were watching the door. They had already pulled down the shutter of the bank. Li Fan and Huang Lei, on the other hand, had already taken the elevator to the second basement floor of the bank with 2 bank employees. Inside, there was a huge vault where they kept all the gold and money they wanted. There are a total of 3 locks in the vault. Ling Tian spoke to Li Fan through the earpiece. First, use the administrator's password and Yamamoto's fingerprint to open the first 2 locks. Yes. Li Fan got the password from the trembling administrator and entered it on the touchpad of the first lock. The password was completely correct. The administrator was pointed at by a heavy machine gun, so he didn't dare to do anything. The first horizontal metal lock slowly pulled the mechanism and split into 2. He pointed the gun at Yamamoto's head. Yamamoto endured the pain and staggered to the lock. He opened the second lock with his bloody hand. There was one last request left, and it required the sector manager's voice. Li Fan looked at Honda, and Honda quickly shook his head. I can't. The person who makes the call must be the senior security officer. I only have the authority to open the second lock. In other words, the people in the bank could only open 2 locks themselves. The third lock was the responsibility of the people in charge of transporting the banknotes. In this case, the bank's own people wouldn't be able to steal it, so it was foolproof. Then the 2 of them are useless. Li Fan waved his hand. Shoot them. Yes, big brother. Huang Lei held the machine gun and looked like he was about to fire. Yang Ping was scared to the point of peeing. He directly knelt on the ground and begged, Don't kill me, I have the sector manager's recording. What, Yang Ping, you damn Sheena, you actually. Before Yamamoto could finish his words, Li Fan knocked him unconscious with the butt of the gun. Where did you get the recording? Li Fan asked Yang Ping, who was kneeling beside him. I once brought a client here to collect his stored diamonds. I secretly recorded it with my phone, Yang Ping said timidly. Li Fan and Huang Lei looked at each other and smiled. It seemed like this employee wasn't too honest. Yang Ping took out his phone and took out the recording. A sentence in Japanese came out. The voice-activated device on the third lock sensed the sound. It slowly opened, and the door of the vault slowly opened. Inside the vault, the golden light was so dazzling that Huang Lei was almost blinded. There was an unknown amount of gold in the vault. The trolleys were filled with at least a ton of gold bars. We're rich. Huang Lei was almost drooling. With so many gold bars, they were definitely going to be rich. 3 more minutes. Ling Tian's voice came through the earpiece. 3 minutes later, the police will arrive and seal this place. Got it. Li Fan nodded. Load it. He gave the order, and the devil's incarnation followed him down. Together with Huang Lei, they began to pack the gold into the bag. Yang Ping hid at the side. When no one was looking, he secretly stuffed 2 pieces into his body. He looked at these stupid thieves and couldn't help but want to mock them. Too stupid, really too stupid. There were so many gold bars weighing more than a ton. How could they transport it? In the end, they were a bunch of robbers without any culture. Shortly after, a shocking scene unfolded before him. The man in the dragon mask used a metal chain to lock the 10 bags of gold bars together. Then, he forcefully lifted them up and walked out of the door. Yang Ping was dumbfounded. Was this still a human? The devil's incarnation and Huang Lei also took a lot of other banknotes, most of which were US dollars. They stuffed the banknotes into 2 or 3 canvas bags and happily carried them with them as they walked out together. Sun Qingchen stood upstairs and opened the passage to the back door. The group immediately left through the back door. There was a black van parked outside. The police sirens could be heard from afar. The few of them didn't dare to delay. They stuffed the gold bars into the van and immediately left. The van had a fake plate. After getting into the van, the few of them felt more at ease. However, the danger was not over yet. There were surveillance cameras at the entrance of the bank and the police cars were already near. The police even sent out a helicopter to circle in the sky. The moment the black van left, it was targeted by the helicopter. There must be something wrong with a car leaving the bank at this time. Huang Lei was in charge of driving. He saw from the rearview mirror that 2 police cars had started to follow them, and there was even a helicopter following them. Soon, the armed police would be dispatched, and they would have no way to escape. In China, robbing a bank is equivalent to seeking death. However, Li Fan and the others had already arranged a way to leave. Huang Lei drove the van and rushed into a nearby construction site under the siege of 2 police cars and helicopters. The construction site was filled with dust, and it was constantly floating. The helicopter's line of sight was blocked, and the 2 police cars rushed in. The van stopped at the side of the construction site and didn't move. It was like a sleeping beast. The 2 police cars stopped nearby, and a few policemen approached the van cautiously. The van was still parked there. It looked like it had broken down, but it also looked like it had surrendered and given up all resistance. The few policemen looked at each other and didn't know what was going on. Chapter 781. Jiang Nan was a rookie police officer who had just graduated from the police academy. He still had the immaturity and bravery of a rookie police officer, unlike some veteran police officers who were slippery. Jiang Nan's wish was to catch all the bad guys in the world. His master laughed at him for being childish, but he felt that this was the persistence of a police officer. If they, the police, could not uphold justice, then who could? Jiang Nan and his master went to the police station together. The 2 of them drove the police car and chased the van that was suspected of robbing the bank to the construction site. There was dust everywhere on the construction site, blocking the view of the helicopter overhead. 2 police cars drove into the construction site. Jiang Nan followed his master and carefully got out of the car, looking at the motionless black van in the distance. Jiang Nan took out his gun and was about to go forward, but his master stopped him. "What are you doing?" Observing the situation, Jiang Nan said. "Nonsense. They have heavy weapons on them." His master scolded, "Don't fight with them. Observe the situation first." "All right." Jiang Nan had no choice. His master was the deputy captain, and he was a police officer, so he must obey his superior's orders. He squatted next to his police car, observing the movement of the van in the distance. 2 colleagues got out of the other car. They did not act rashly, but used the communicator to ask for support from the armed police force. "Master, let's go and see. Something doesn't feel right." Jiang Nan could not wait anymore. "What's the hurry? Be patient. The car is there, and they have not gotten out of the car. They definitely can't run away." His master seemed to be confident. "The surrounding area has been surrounded, and the helicopter is right above this building. They have no way to escape." All right, Jiang Nan had no choice but to continue observing. His master even pulled the loudspeaker from the car, grabbed it in his hand, and shouted into it. "The people inside, listen carefully. You have no way to escape. Strive for leniency." His master was known as a negotiator, and he began to persuade them. "Although you robbed the bank, you did not kill anyone. As long as you surrender, I think the government will give you a lighter sentence. If you resist arrest, the consequences will be different. He persuaded for a long time, but there was still no movement inside the car. At this time, the armed police force's explosion-proof car also arrived. A group of armed police jumped out of the car and immediately surrounded the place. Jiang Nan thought to herself, these guys are finally here. The armed police slowly pushed forward with their explosion-proof shields and surrounded the van. One of the snipers broke the window of the van while the other immediately threw a tear gas grenade into the van. The grayish-white smoke quickly filled up the entire van. It was no longer a place for humans to stay. But still, no one came out. The armed police felt that something was wrong, and Jiang Nan also felt that it was not logical. His master noticed something was wrong. Wearing a gas mask, he walked over and pulled the door open. There was no one inside. There was only a big hole at the bottom of the van. Below the hole was an open sewer pipe. Master called Jiang Nan, and the two of them jumped into the sewer pipe. Then, they were stunned. It was connected in all directions, and no one knew where they had escaped to. This time, he was really dumbfounded. At this moment, Li Fan and the others were coming out from the sewers at the back of Ling Tian's bar. They were covered in mud and a foul smell. Holy shit, he really came out. Huang Lei lay on the ground, took off his mask, and panted heavily. This trip was really dangerous. He was so scared that his soul almost flew out of his body. Luckily, Ling Tian's plan was foolproof, and they successfully brought them out of the encirclement of the police. More than a ton of gold. The devil incarnate was also overjoyed. Boss, are you going to give us more dividends? Of course, more dividends. Li Fan said without hesitation. He still had to give them more benefits. The gold bars will be in the company's account. You guys can split the money. Thank you, big brother. Huang Lei was a little excited. There was more than 10 million in the bag, and it was quite a lot of money if they split it among themselves. Let Ling Tian be in charge of finding buyers for the gold. Li Fan made a rough arrangement. The rest of you, tidy up and do what you need to do. For the next few days, behave yourself. Don't spend too much money, got it? Understood, big brother. Don't worry about this. Huang Lei was already very happy. I promise I won't give you any trouble. Huang Lei always thought that he was the most useless in this team. He didn't expect that he still had some value today. This discovery made Huang Lei very excited. It was much more than earning a sum of money. Boss, don't worry. I'm not a newbie anymore. I know how to do this. The devil incarnate said with a smile. After earning such a large sum of money, he was also very happy. The good days were finally here. Li Fan took off his jacket and changed into his school uniform. At the same time, he put the dragon head mask together and threw it into the trash can in the backyard. These were all evidence. He definitely couldn't keep them. Li Fan changed his clothes and took a shower to get rid of the smell on his body. He looked at the time. Everything was going according to plan, not a single second was off. In the remaining time, he could still go to a cram school. Originally, Li Fan hated cram school the most. But now, he couldn't keep up with the progress of the course, so he had to go. But the happy thing was that the teacher of the cram school was Liao Wushuang. Every day after class, she still had to tutor Li Fan in the evening. So, she was indeed a bit busy. But for Liao Wushuang, she was very happy. I've made a lot of progress recently. Liao Wushuang saw Li Fan finished a set of questions and was somewhat satisfied, not bad. It seems that your private tutor is also good at tutoring you. There were several questions that were solved in a way similar to Lin Yuhsin. It's the two of you who taught me well together. Li Fan quickly said. Liao Wuxuang sighed, you can't please a girl like this. You're really an idiot. Then what should I say? You should say that I taught better than her. That way, I'll be happy. Liao Wuxuang was a little older than Li Fan. She was more patient than him, so she was teaching him, so you see, you don't know how to coax a girl. It's really strange, how could there be so many girls who like you? Is there a need to ask? Because I'm handsome. Go to hell, you shameless bastard. Li Fan laughed. Just as he was about to speak, his phone suddenly vibrated violently. Li Fan opened it and saw that it was a call from Zhou Tai. It's so late, why did he call me? Li Fan couldn't help but guess. I hope it's a good thing. Li Fan picked up the phone and heard Zhou Tai's roar. Chapter 782. Li Fan. Zhou Tai's roar came from the other end of the line. Li Fan dug his ears and moved the phone further away from his ear. Chief Zhou, what's the matter? Why are you so agitated? Li Fan, you're too bold. Zhou Tai scolded him to his face, you actually dared to rob a bank. Chief Zhou, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Li Fan blinked his eyes and began to feign ignorance. Stop playing dumb. Don't you know what you've done? Zhou Tai was furious. It could be heard from his voice on the phone. I'm a student. I'm doing my duty and tutoring. Li Fan replied seriously, the rest of the time is spent preparing for the escort. What's wrong? Did something happen? Li Fan, don't play dumb. In this place, the only people who have the ability to rob a bank are you guys. Is there anyone else? Rob a bank. Rob what bank? I've been so busy all day, how could I do something like that? Besides, robbing a bank is illegal. Why would I do something illegal? You've done less. Zhou Tai continued to criticize Li Fan. Li Fan, don't think I don't know what you've done. In a place like Tree Flag Bank, you could rob it if you wanted to. But it's different now. Do you know how many pairs of eyes are on you now? What do you mean? I didn't rob it. Don't slander me. You know what you've done. Zhou Tai did not seem to want to argue with Li Fan. I'm not going to argue with you. Don't treat everyone as fools. Li Fan, I believe in you and recommend you. You should have a certain amount of trust in me. Otherwise, we can't continue working together. Alright, if I did it, what do you want? This is a critical period. This action of yours is really too sensitive. Zhou Tai reminded Li Fan, recently, the government has a project to build a plaza. It still needs some funds. Your company can contribute some. Zhou Tai's words made Li Fan's heart ache. Is your government still short of money? The government's money belongs to the people. It can't be spent recklessly. Zhou Tai said, moreover, if your company invests, it can also be considered as building a reputation for yourself. How much will this project cost? About 100 million, that's not much. Damn, 100 million is not a lot. Why don't you just rob someone? Li Fan, you've earned at least 200 million this time. That's a black profit. Taking out a portion of it to do good deeds and build a square for the commoners was for their own good. Some money can be spent, but some money can burn your hand. These words could not be more obvious. He was pointing at Li Fan. Open robbery, it was open robbery. Li Fan had the urge to smash the phone. 100 million. Although it was equivalent to picking it up for free, this robbery was also risking his life. This group of people was too vile, too excessive. Li Fan wanted to curse. But he endured it. He was dealing with the government, and he was facing a group of people who were more terrifying than beasts. If he really angered them, they would definitely eat him up without spitting out any bones. How about it, Li Fan, this is your only chance. Zhou Tai urged again. This time, Li Fan admitted defeat. All right, I promise you. There was no other way but to agree. Zhou Tai was right. This was Li Fan's only choice. Good, that's more like it. Zhou Tai had been furious just a moment ago, but now he suddenly had a pleasant expression on his face. He spoke to Li Fan in a much gentler tone. Boss Li is a man of integrity. I admire you very much. I thank you. Li Fan was rather depressed. 100 million. Why should I give him money? Mr. Yang sat opposite Li Fan and looked at him with a smile. He made a throat-slitting gesture. You can get rid of him. This way, no one will know about your matter. An ominous glint flashed in Li Fan's eyes. He seemed to have been provoked by Mr. Yang's words. But he quickly erased this thought. Zhou Tai was from the government. If he went against a government person, wouldn't he be courting death? He still needed to survive in China, so he absolutely could not do this. Li Fan sorted out his emotions and warned himself that there were some things he could not do. He must not be bewitched by this Mr. Yang. He was a true demon. What's wrong? Liao Wushuang saw that Li Fan had just hung up the phone. It seemed to be some business matters. Nothing, just a small problem. Although it was a big matter of 100 million, Li Fan did not want to mention this matter to Liao Wushuang. He did not want her to worry about it. He still had to explain this matter to his brothers. He estimated that they would definitely not be happy. After all, they worked hard to do it, and in the end, the government directly reaped the fruits of their labor. Who was the biggest hooligan? This time, he immediately understood. Well, tonight's tuition is almost over. Liao Wushuang looked at the time. Then can I go back now? Of course not. Ah, why? Because you have to accompany me to dinner. What, you don't want to? I'm happy to. Li Fan quickly made an inviting gesture. Teacher Liao, how about you condescend to accompany me to dinner tonight? I can consider it. Liao Wushuang smiled and reached out her hand, holding Li Fan's hand. Liao Wushuang's small hand was soft and very comfortable to the touch. Li Fan could not help but pinch a few more times, causing Liao Wushuang to roll her eyes. Mr. Li, wait for me to change my clothes, then we'll go. Change what clothes? Don't you look good in these clothes? Go to hell, how can you wear this kind of clothes when you go out? At this time, Liao Wushuang was wearing a very fitting white t-shirt and black wide-legged pants. Her simple attire, but with her curvaceous figure, became very attractive. But Liao Wushuang was also very particular, and would not casually wear it out. Well, I'll wait for you, hurry up. Got it. Liao Wushuang went into the bedroom next door, and after more than 10 minutes, came out with a change of clothes. Liao Wushuang's upper body was a clean white shirt, with a beautiful small suit on the outside. And the lower body was a black skinny pants, wrapped very well, like two inverted watermelons, with a seductive curved seam in the middle, double attracting people's attention. Being able to go out to dinner with such a female companion, made Li Fan feel very proud. But at the same time, he would also receive a lot of murderous gazes. This is the price of enjoying a good life. Am I beautiful? Liao Wushuang circled in front of Li Fan and then asked. Impeccable. Li Fan praised, causing Liao Wushuang's face to blush. Glib, let's go eat. Chapter 783. Although he was mentally prepared, Li Fan was still shocked. Along the way, the number of people who looked at him with hostility was uncountable. As long as it was a man, his gaze would be filled with hostility. It was as if the one eating with Li Fan was not Liao Wuxuang, but the perfect goddess in their hearts. Even when they were eating, the male waiter who served them the dishes looked at him strangely. Li Fan somewhat understood that a man who could eat with a beauty like Liao Wuxuang would definitely be envied by others. No, it's not a matter of jealousy. It's these men who hate Li Fan so much that they don't want Li Fan to live. Even the waiter looked at Li Fan as if he couldn't wait for him to die. Li Fan thought to himself, am I really that hateful? Miss, your dish. The waiter respectfully served Liao Wuxuang's steak-set meal and then coldly looked at Li Fan. You can wait for another half an hour. Fuck me. Li Fan was a bit angry. Differential treatment. Liao Wuxuang's steak was already served, and he only ordered spaghetti. Why did it take so long? Please enjoy your meal. The waiter's attitude toward Li Fan was extremely bad, almost driving Li Fan away. Li Fan glanced at them and thought, these men probably want to drive me away. Li Fan understood their intention very well. However, understanding is one thing, it doesn't mean that I have to endure their anger. Forget it. Liao Wuxuang could see that Li Fan was unhappy. She gently reached out her hand and gently held Li Fan's small hand. I'm by your side, don't lower yourself to their level. It's because you're by my side that they want to drive me away. Li Fan half-jokingly said to Liao Wuxuang. This shows that you chose a good woman. Liao Wuxuang smiled and confidently said, this reflects your strong personal charm, shouldn't you be happy? Alright, what you said makes sense. Li Fan raised his hands in surrender. Liao Wuxuang was right. Who asked him to be so charming? There was no helping it. If other men were jealous, then let them be. Li Fan began to shamelessly enjoy these envious gazes. But at this moment, a gentle and elegant young master next to her saw Liao Wuxuang, and his eyes immediately flashed with the light of hunting. He was an expert at hunting beauties, and this woman looked like a woman with strong desires. As long as he could conquer her, she would crazily repay him in bed. That's right, I can't be wrong. Bruce, what are you looking at? Sitting opposite the young master was a foreigner with blonde hair and blue eyes. Although the two of them were of different nationalities, they were good friends who grew up together. The two's biggest hobby was to pick up girls together and then find opportunities to have a threesome, or even a foursome. It was because of this unique hobby that this pair of good friends became friends. Oh, she is indeed a beauty. The blonde foreigner couldn't help but exclaim, she's really beautiful. She's my type. I took a fancy to her first. The young master's English name was Bruce. He confidently said, I'll get her in a minute. Are you sure, Bruce? She has a male companion by her side. What are you afraid of? How many women have male companions? Didn't they obediently go to bed with me? The young master was very confident in his personal charm. If he couldn't even get a woman, how could he call himself the third young master of a city? He was a mixed race, handsome, rich, and well-educated. There were almost no women who didn't like him. That's true. Don't forget to share it with your good brother. The blonde man said to Bruce with a smile. Don't worry, I understand. Bruce winked at him, then tidied up his suit, walked forward, and came to Liao Wuxuang's side. Hello, beautiful lady, I'm a talent scout and want to get to know you. When a woman heard that a talent scout came to poach her, her first reaction would be happy and excited. In particular, Bruce had a very good image and was very popular with young girls. Usually, when young girls saw Bruce, they would have no resistance. Only Liao Wuxuang, who was not a young girl, but a mature beauty. Sorry, I'm not interested in being a star. Liao Wuxuang flatly refused. That's true. You're no different from a star. Look, everyone's eyes are on you. What Bruce said was indeed true. At this moment, almost everyone was looking at Liao Wuxuang, especially the men. No man would not be attracted to Liao Wuxuang, and no woman would not be jealous of Liao Wuxuang. Her existence overshadowed all the women here. She's just a slut, what's there to look at? If you look again, I'll dig your eyes out. This kind of woman's reprimand almost came one after another, but it still couldn't stop them from staring at Liao Wuxuang. Liao Wuxuang's body seemed to be poisoned, causing everyone to be poisoned by a kind of love poison. Bruce was very confident. He looked at Liao Wuxuang in front of him with a pair of blue eyes, intending to conquer her with his charm. But Liao Wuxuang was unmoved, as if Bruce was just a puppet. This young lady. Seeing that Liao Wuxuang ignored him, Bruce thought that Liao Wuxuang didn't hear him. As long as this girl looked at him, she would definitely be fascinated by his charm. Bruce was full of confidence, and Liao Wuxuang finally looked at him. Sir, I'm sorry, I'm eating with my boyfriend. Would you please leave? Bruce was dumbfounded. He was actually rejected by a girl. How was this possible? Bruce couldn't believe his eyes, and he even suspected that this was a dream. He had been spoiled since he was a child, and he was always surrounded by girls. He had never been short of women. But today, he was actually rejected by a girl. This was impossible. Bruce didn't quite believe it. He was about to continue speaking when Li Fan spoke for Liao Wuxuang. Don't disturb our meal, thank you. Bruce looked at the man in front of him, and his eyes narrowed. He was not a fool. He knew that if he was impatient for success, he would definitely make the girl unhappy. Tactics had to be roundabout, and those who fought head-on were idiots. Bruce was going to play hard to get. He wanted to let the girl know what a real master of love was. In that case, distinguished young lady, I won't disturb your meal anymore. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Bruce turned around and returned to his seat, only to be ridiculed by his blonde friend. Don't worry, my friend. The best is yet to come. Chapter 784. Although Bruce was rejected by the girl, he was not angry or discouraged at all. To him, the more challenging the girl was, the greater the sense of accomplishment he would feel when he managed to get his hands on her and ride her. As for the girl's boyfriend, he looks like a loser. For this kind of person, as long as he shows a little bit of his strength, he will be able to make them retreat. Before Li Fan and the others left, Bruce secretly made a phone call. After a phone call, Bruce confirmed that there are no accidents, then he smiled and began to eat his steak. Is it all arranged? Yes, it's all arranged. Bruce nodded. This girl will soon be in my pocket. Okay, then I will wait for your good news. The blonde friend also likes Liao Wuxuang very much. She is indeed very beautiful, such a woman is impossible to be hated by anyone. Bruce was like a good hunter, waiting for his prey to come. He quietly finished his glass of red wine with his friend, waiting for the prey to take the bait. At this time, Li Fan also finished his dinner with Liao Wuxuang, and the two were ready to go home. When they just walked out of the door and came to the parking lot, several punks who were squatting there immediately stood up. A punk with a cigarette in his mouth and a baseball bat in his hand, with dyed yellow hair, pointed the baseball bat at Li Fan opposite him. Why do you look like you need a beating? And such a beautiful girlfriend. Damn, looking at you, I feel that you need a beating. The yellow hair's mouth was dirty. How about this, you let us play with your girlfriend, then we will let you go, how about it? Li Fan glanced at Liao Wuxuang, and Liao Wuxuang laughed. You take a break, I will do it. Liao Wuxuang said to Li Fan. Okay. Li Fan knew that Liao Wuxuang is afraid that he will not be gentle. He nodded and let her go to the side. This is an opportunity for Liao Wuxuang to practice Killer Bee, Heart Destruction Palm. However, this Heart Destruction Palm can be used against martial artists, but if it is used against ordinary people, I am afraid that one palm will kill them. Liao Wuxuang was sensible and steady, she wouldn't do such an impulsive thing. Li Fan stood aside and Blondie couldn't help but laugh along with his companion. Ha 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 ha, you're too funny. A man was actually standing behind a woman. God, are you even a man? Did you bring your dick? Do you want to take off your pants and let us check? These people insulted Li Fan in various ways, but Li Fan remained unmoved. His strength had already risen to another realm, so he couldn't lower himself to the level of ordinary people. However, Liao Wuxuang didn't necessarily think so. In Liao Wuxuang's heart, Li Fan's position was supreme, and no one could humiliate him. Beauty, do you want to play with me? A guy with a nose ring walked forward with a smile and reached out to touch Liao Wuxuang's cheek. But Liao Wuxuang directly reached out, grabbed the man's palm, and twisted it. With a cracking sound, this brother's palm was directly twisted off. He screamed in pain, like a pig being slaughtered. When the nearby punks saw this, they were all dumbfounded, thinking, what's going on? Liao Wuxuang didn't hesitate at all. She forcefully twisted his hand again. The nose ring guy directly knelt on the ground, crying with snot and tears, desperately begging Liao Wuxuang for mercy. Beauty, beauty, I was wrong, beauty, please let me go, ah ah ah. Brothers, don't just stand there, let's beat this chick into submission. The blondie roared with a stick in his hand. Those punks finally reacted. One by one, they screamed, grabbed their weapons, and rushed over. These people were indeed ordinary punks, some were holding baseball bats, some were holding mops, and some were holding wrenches. But Liao Wuxuang was fearless. Although she didn't know martial arts before, she was proficient in fighting, so dealing with ordinary people was not a problem. Now that she learned martial arts, Liao Wuxuang was like a tiger with wings. These ordinary punks couldn't even get close to her. Liao Wuxuang took a few steps forward, passing through several people. Every time she passed, a punk would be sent flying by her fist. With Liao Wuxuang's strength, these punks couldn't stop her at all. When the blondie reacted, a row of his friends were already lying on the ground, all of them were knocked down by Liao Wuxuang. The blondie was convinced. He directly knelt down and begged Liao Wuxuang for mercy. Big sister, I was wrong, please spare my life. Liao Wuxuang was taken aback by the yellow-hair's sudden apology. She had thought that the yellow-haired man would have some backbone and fight with her. Unexpectedly, he just knelt down and begged for mercy. There was no sense of accomplishment at all. Liao Wuxuang also understood. No wonder Li Fan likes to find experts to compete with. Those who are not strong can't fight at all. I won't be like Li Fan and develop into a martial arts fanatic, right? Liao Wuxuang was a little worried. She didn't want to become so violent. Just when Liao Wuxuang was worried, Bruce suddenly rushed out from the side and roared at the same time. Let go of that girl. You bunch of animals. He was stunned. The people he invited were all lying on the ground. And the blondie was kneeling there, begging for mercy from the woman he liked. What's going on? Something's wrong. Sorry, you're late. Liao Wuxuang clapped her hands, kicked away the blondie who was crawling over, and then said to Bruce, who wanted to be a hero to save the beauty, these people are too weak. Next time, send someone more powerful. Bruce was completely dumbfounded. This beauty also knows some kung fu. Beauty, What kind of kung fu do you know? I also know kung fu, karate, black belt. I guess this is a misunderstanding, but misunderstanding is fate. We can have a good martial arts match, what do you think? Bruce must find a chance to turn the tables. If he wants to show his manly elegance, he can only rely on his absolute charm to show it. But to his surprise, Liao Wuxuang suddenly raised her hand and pushed Bruce from far away. As if blown by a strong wind, Bruce's body suddenly flew out and heavily hit the car behind him. I'm sorry, I practice Chinese ancient martial arts, karate and so on. I don't want to be conspicuous. Bruce was completely stunned. Although Liao Wuxuang has shown mercy, the shock in his heart could not stop. Chinese martial arts. How could there be ancient martial arts in China? Isn't that something in martial arts novels? How could there be such a thing in reality? Bruce was very confused. He felt that Liao Wuxuang must have used some special means to scare him. Chapter 785. Brosnan doesn't believe in Chinese ancient martial arts. These are all things in novels, it's impossible for them to exist in reality. Reality is reality, how can there be so many illusory things? Brosnan just doesn't believe it. At this time, a bus parked nearby suddenly lit up its headlights. The dazzling headlights shone on Li Fan and Liao Wuxuang's eyes, almost blinding them. Even Brosnan, who is kneeling in the distance, is taken aback. What's going on? The yellow-haired man and the others have long run away in fright, simply ignoring their boss. The moment Li Fan and the others closed their eyes from the dazzling headlights, a figure instantly jumped out of the bus. Her figure floated in the air, spinning rapidly. At the same time, her mouth blew the jade flute, playing a unique tune. At the same time, those tunes carried along sound waves and sword chi, and they formed numerous sword gales that swept out in all directions. Li Fan and Liao Wuxuang both closed their eyes and didn't see this scene at all. But subconsciously, the two of them felt danger at the same time. Li Fan picked up Liao Wuxuang, closed his eyes, and jumped to the side. He dodged the large number of rhythmic attacks, fell to the side, and then slowly opened his eyes. Ching Mo-hun, dressed in a black genie guard uniform, stood there with a jade flute in her hand, looking at Li Fan with a smile. Li Fan, I finally caught you. Ching Mo-hun looked at Li Fan with a smile hanging on her mouth. This time, you can't escape. Not necessarily, right? Li Fan put Liao Wuxuang down again and looked at the genie guard killer in front of him. But how long have you been following me? You actually set up a killing trap here. For a while. Ching Mo-hun leisurely said, it's just that I haven't been noticed yet. Li Fan, your vigilance is too weak. It's because you guys are too idle today. Li Fan can't help but sigh, can't you go do some proper business? Why do you follow me every day? Am I handsome? You're still on my blacklist. As long as you don't die, that's my only priority. Ching Mo-hun said seriously, this is your fate, Li Fan. Accept it. I'll decide my own fate. It's not up to you embroidered uniform guard to decide. Li Fan frowned. With his hands behind his back, he looked at Ching Mo-hun. That's what you say, but didn't you still win over 2 members of the embroidered uniform guard? After that, Ching Mo-hun glanced at Liao Wuxuang who was standing next to her. Liao Wuxuang was also a member of the genie guard. Although she left the genie guard, her identity was still there. The daughter of the boss behind the scenes. Li Fan's ability to pick up girls was second to none. That's why a man like you is a scourge to the embroidered uniform guard. We must get rid of you. Ching Mo-hun looked unrestrained and unrestrained, but she was actually loyal to the embroidered uniform guard. Within the embroidered uniform guard, she was the one who did not want any benefits. She only wanted to get rid of Li Fan. Cheng Mohan's existence was also the thing that gave Li Fan a headache. This little girl pestered him every day and almost became his follower. Cheng Mohan, didn't Wang Jing say that he would not put Li Fan on the wanted list for the time being? Liao Wushuang questioned Cheng Mohan. Liao Qianqian, it seems that you really betrayed us. Cheng Mohan looked at Liao Wushuang with eyes filled with hatred. Did you forget whose daughter you are? I have nothing to do with him. Other than the same surname, there's nothing in common. Liao Wushuang's voice was cold as if she did not know the person she mentioned. Nonsense. That person's bloodline is pure. You inherited his bloodline, so you should stand on our side. In the past, Cheng Mohan could still casually tease and joke, but today she was somewhat annoyed and did not have her usual leisurely state. Perhaps Liao Wushuang, this woman, had a special meaning to the embroidered uniform guard. What kind of person was Liao Wushuang's father? Li Fan began to guess. After all, she was still a curious person. Liao Wushuang, since you have betrayed us, today I will clean up for the embroidered uniform guard. Cheng Mohan's gaze fell on Liao Wushuang. Li Fan immediately opened his mouth. Hey, didn't we agree that everything is directed at me? This is the internal affairs of our embroidered uniform guard, it has nothing to do with you. Cheng Mohan said, jumped up and blew the jade flute in her mouth. An ear-piercing tune instantly entered Liao Wushuang's ears. At the same time, the tune formed two assassins with daggers in their hands and appeared behind Liao Wushuang. The daggers in each of their hands were aimed at Liao Wushuang's temples. But Liao Wushuang was not an ordinary person. She stepped on her true qi and suddenly bounced into the air, stepping on the 7 or 8 meters high ceiling. Bruce was dumbfounded. What is this situation? Could it be that this is really the legendary ancient martial arts? Bruce's heart was like a stormy sea, unable to calm down for a long time. His 3 views since childhood have been subverted. Everything that happened in front of him could only be seen in movies or TV series. But now, it appeared in front of him alive, which was really unbelievable. Could it be that everything he knew since childhood was wrong? Li Fan and the others didn't care about Bruce's feelings at all. In short, today was going to be a fierce battle. Liao Wushuang stepped on the ceiling above her head. She waved her hand at Li Fan, indicating that she didn't want Li Fan to intervene. Li Fan could only agree to his woman's request. He crossed his arms and stood aside to watch the show. Liao Wushuang's strength was actually much weaker than Cheng Mohan's, but she won because she had Li Fan's feelings and could share some of Li Fan's fighting instincts. At this time, Liao Wushuang used her true qi to absorb the ceiling above her head and stared at Cheng Mohan below. She saw Cheng Mohan take out her jade flute and was about to play a tune just as it was about to touch her lips. At this moment, Liao Wushuang suddenly made a move. Cheng Mohan played a tune, and a sound shadow assassin suddenly appeared in front of Liao Wushuang, stabbing the dagger in his hand at Liao Wushuang's temple. Liao Wushuang's body immediately scattered and turned into a little shadow. Cheng Mohan knew that she had stabbed Liao Wushuang's shadow. She felt a gust of wind behind her back, and she subconsciously felt a chill. She didn't dare to hesitate and continued to play the tune. The sound blade rotated around her body, forcing Liao Wushuang to step back and forcing her to withdraw her palm that was about to hit her back. Just this move alone made Cheng Mohan break out in cold sweat. Where did Liao Wushuang learn martial arts? Wasn't she a true qi insulator? If not, why did Lord Liao abandon her and forbid her from entering the martial world? But who would have thought that this woman had learned martial arts? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.